Salute, and welcome. Welcome back over here to the Black Ocean. You're now swimming in the deep end with your host, the one and only Great Black Shark. Yes, family, we got to do this. As you saw the thumbnail, we have to talk about the FBA versus Black immigrant mindset, and we're going to do a very thorough analysis of those two mindsets, but this is how we're going to do it. We are going to cover the on-code FBA. We're going to cover the off-code FBA. Going to cover the on-code Black immigrant. Going to cover the off-code Black immigrants. And as you see, if I can direct your attention to the screen here, you've seen this before, and you're probably asking yourself, GBiz, why do you keep showing this chart? Why are you showing this chart now, so here and there, so often? Well, the reason I'm doing this from time to time, and I'm going to keep including in our broadcast, because I'm aware that a lot of non-FBA people will come over here and check out the channel, okay? And some of those are young Black people who are Caribbean, who are continental African, who are down in South America, who are Afro-Latino. They really do want to learn. They really do. I mean, family, y'all just don't understand how many emails I will get, or people that will hit my inbox that follow me and they're wanting to learn different things. So like I said, my platform is pretty much a classroom, not so much concerned about numbers, subscriber counts. I'm more concerned about what we're able to teach and what we're able to give Black people who are FBA and non-FBA that want to learn how to combat the system of white supremacy. So I'm including this up here tonight. Y'all are familiar with it, but hopefully our non-FBA brothers and sisters who are on code can look at this and study it, screenshot it, share it with their friends, and restart researching how this works. Because see, this chart right here that you see, this can be applied globally, not just in America. This is how it works globally with racism and white supremacy. So this is why I'm showing this to you all here tonight. So what we're going to be reviewing though, oh yes, a lot of things that you all have sent me. We're going to cover some of that here tonight. If you caught my message on the community tab right below this post, it's not going to be tonight, but definitely this week, I am going to cover the situation of the off-code tether class fraudulent politician, the Double J. I'm going to call him Double J. Justin Jones and what's the other one? Justin Pearson. I got something for that. But see, when I cover that broadcast, I'm going to point out something else that I don't think anybody else really drilled down on. That's going to be very educational. So you're not going to want to miss that broadcast coming up this week. But as far as tonight is concerned, though, we got several things we got to examine. And we're going to start with something that I've often discussed over here on this channel. We're going to start by analyzing something where you see a person who is non-FBA giving their good faith, honest experience about how they see certain things. And I think it's going to be very important to review that here. Okay, so with that said, let me greet the people that I see joining us over here tonight, and everybody that will be. You will also be welcome in case I don't get you. Oh, I see my good brother Torian Rain Reloaded in the building. Family, before we get underway, if you miss his broadcast, and to my knowledge, it's still up on his channel. If you missed his broadcast yesterday, he was covering one of the coons in the space, in the Black Manosphere space, okay? The Angry Man. Oh, yeah, he did an excellent breakdown of a stream. When I tell you it was some world-class raccooning going on, hey, go over there and check that out if you haven't yet. And do subscribe to that brother's channel if you already haven't. I see Patricia Slade in the building. Welcome. My brother, CRU Reality. Okay, hey, yo, got to brag on him again. Excellent beat maker, master computer builder, okay? Get with that brother if you want a custom-made computer. Go to his page, drop him a comment, follow his social media, get in touch with him. Good dude to get a computer built by or get a beat built by. Salute to my sister Back to the Basics. I see Charlie X in the building. Rakeem Jackson. Only Pamela's Way. What's going on? See Russell, I see you. I see my moderator Goddess Navi in here. Hey, I see Mark by Smith. So what's going on, brother? I'm doing very, very well. Doing well. And hopefully all of you are doing well in the chat. I do hope so. Hopefully you'll be doing even better by the time this broadcast comes to an end, because we're going to get into it and break some things down here tonight. So with that said, we're going to get underway. And again, let me give this message to my esteemed moderators. Be aware that you all don't have to wait for my permission to either time somebody out or just go ahead and block them. Give them a kind reminder if you see them trying to be disruptive to focus on the broadcast. And if they find it hard to do, well, then, see, we're very nice over here. We provide quality and transportation up off the platform. So, you know, whatever transportation you pick, you know what I'm saying, an ejector seat, you know, a slingshot, whatever it is, you can get them on up out of here, okay? Hey, no, y'all don't have to wait on me, man. Y'all don't have to wait on me, man. Like I say, give them one kind reminder. After that, ejectocito. Get them out of here, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I want you to put your thinking caps on. If you have not hit that like button and share it already, please do so. And with that said, we shall get started.
So, a while back, Akon said this.
We a little different when it comes to stage presence. Now in America, oh yeah, them niggas gonna be wobbling, pants hanging half down, bored as hell, half to sleep because they high as hell on stage. But Africa, we wake up morning like, look at these YouTube clips of all these kids from Uganda and how they be, you know what I'm saying? Like these kids are performers. Like so, for us, it comes natural.
Immediately, these remarks were published. Everybody was up in arms asking him, how dare you? How dare you come to our country, build off and become successful off the love and the support of America and Americans and American music and culture, and then turn back around and say what? And say Black Americans are lazy as compared to Africans. They're not as aggressive. They're not taking advantage of every opportunity that they get. Well, I want to give you sort of an African perspective of how Africans sort of perceive Black Americans, and consume this with caution because the only place we get to see Black Americans is in movies written by white people, directed by white people, because unfortunately for a long time, Black people did not have media. And so the representation of Black Americans to Africans has always been skewed. Hi guys.
So I want you to get ready to pay attention to what these sisters are about to explain here, because she's going to make some very good points. And after she does so, I'm going to come back and address something that I feel like now that we're in the modern age, we can do a lot more to close a lot of these different gaps with people that want to have good faith discussions like this sister here. Okay, so I want y'all to really pay attention to what she's about to describe. Then I'll come back and give my thoughts on what she's about to tell us here.
How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. My name is Ndiro Ganga. I'm back again for another chat. I hope that you're well. If you would like to get to know me better, head over to my channel, Art Ndiro Ganga, where I make videos on diaspora relocation back to the continent, the highs, the lows, and what it takes to move back to Africa if you're interested in retracing your roots and coming back to the motherland. Now today I want to address the controversial video of Akon, because I feel like it's been talked a lot about, but in an American context. I want to put it into context as an African. Well, first of all, I do not support those statements. I think that different people, Africans have their own unique set of challenges, and also Black Americans have their own unique set of challenges. It's a double-edged sword. For example, while Black Americans are struggling in America, Africans are dying to come to America and try and make a living for themselves. And some of them that come there are able to build up for themselves. And so that is why when Black Americans are sort of struggling, Africans will be like, what are you talking about? That's the land of opportunities. If you can get a job, if you can then Africans cannot seem to understand what you're talking about, right? Because their problem is not your problem. Their problem is they're just looking for opportunities. It doesn't matter the nature of the opportunity, the quality of the opportunity. They will wash toilets, scrub bathrooms, work in care homes, deliver groceries, live in the Bronx, whatever it takes to make $1 or $2, send back home and ensure that their family is comfortable and they can build something for themselves at the end of the day. Then Black Americans, you've been in this country for a long time, and I am just making assumptions here because I've never lived as a Black American. You came to a place where your identity is always being questioned by outsiders, by yourself. You're treated like the other, you know, in terms of opportunities, in terms of pay, in terms of how you relate with government and law enforcement. And so this is a very unique set of challenges that an African who's coming to America cannot understand. And most of the time, if we cannot understand something, it's very difficult to sympathize with it. Now,
so I want to pause the sister right here, okay? So let's deal with a couple of things the sister said. And see, I'm using this as a teaching moment right here because what she's doing, she's speaking in good faith, okay? She's not speaking to insult anybody. She's not speaking, okay, to try to mock anybody. She's giving you her perspective as she sees it, okay, without any of the gaslighting or anything, all right? So I want to deal with a couple of things that the sister was saying, okay? So this is the first thing we got to do, right? And this is something that we have to take it upon ourselves to actually do on both ends of the spectrum, okay? For those of us that want to have good faith conversations with one another, okay? Whether you continental African, Caribbean, foundational Black American like myself, okay? When it comes to, and we've heard this a lot of times to the point where now the reason why I laugh about it is because like, man, we can do better than this with all this technology we have. My continental African brothers and sisters and my fellow FBA tribe members, when it comes to us, Black people in the global Black diaspora, learning about each other, we need to come to each other to learn about each other. We should not rely on the BBC, CNN, damn sure not anything in movies, okay? So her experience, like she was saying, that a lot of them only learn about us in movies, and you hear a lot of them say that. My question would be this, all right? And I've had this discussion with several of my good African friends, okay, from many different nations. And I'm just posing it here tonight because I want this to be a question that some of you will ask when you have conversations with them in good faith, okay? Ask them this. If you only learn about Black Americans through movies, why is it that you only took the negative things, even though we were portrayed certain ways in movies, we've seen that over here. But how is it that if you do have any knowledge of your history, even in a general sense, I'm not even talking about down to a scholarly level, but just a general sense, knowing who colonized Africa, how is it that no matter how the white person is portrayed in the movie, that you don't see a negative side of them? How is it white is always equated with good, but Black is always equated with bad, okay? See, these are good faith questions that you can have to make a lot of progress with people in the global Black diaspora when it comes to that. Because see, a lot of times this is what happens and I've always taught y'all, when Black people are together, you have to understand that that's power when we're gathered. When we have our collective intelligences in the same space at the same time, that is an opportunity for us to act in a powerful way, to educate one another, to build one another in a constructive manner, okay? And the people that are on the negative stuff on either end, we got to funnel them out. If we really want to have these good faith conversations and build strong relationships with one another, whether it's business-wise or just in a cultural sense, okay? And let's be clear on this before I further expound on this. Just because you gain an understanding with someone doesn't mean you're going to agree eye to eye on everything, okay? Doesn't mean that. But when you have an understanding of somebody, okay, and their culture and their history, then you can walk in a more enlightened path and say, okay, you know what? I may not agree with this or that, but I do understand, okay? And I always find that to be the better option than us getting together, squabbling, and, you know what I'm saying? We'll roll back and forth if they get disrespectful or whatever, but anytime it's somebody trying to have a good faith conversation, what I want to encourage both continental Africans and foundational Black Americans to do, don't just lump everybody in either lineage in one boat. Be like, okay, I'm going to deal with this person as they deal with me. Okay, so now let's further expound on the thing about the movies. When it comes to that, as I just said, how is it, you have to ask the question or ask them the question, how is it that you only perceive us in a negative way, but never the white person in a negative way, even when they play the roles of villains? See, it's a fair question to ask, like, how is it that you never see the white people as bad when you know what they're doing over there in your countries now and what they have done, okay? I mean, this is why I love that the world has been made smaller by way of the World Wide Web, okay? All you have to do is look up the different news reports of the colonizers going over there doing things to children, stealing, raping, and killing. And a lot of times they get off scot-free and come right on back over here. Renee Bach, anybody remember that story? The lady that was posing as a doctor that went to Uganda didn't have no medical training, and was killing Ugandan kids, left, came back over here, hadn't heard nothing else about it. There was a pastor that also went over to Uganda. I forget his name at the moment, but he went over there selling something called Mineral Miracle Cure, and that shit was mostly bleach. And he tricked them into taking it and giving it to the kids and killed a bunch of them. He did that through manipulating them by the misuse of religion, okay? So see, that's just a couple of examples of stories where they have done things like that over there. When you start to look at a lot of this so-called white missionary work, they always targeting children and taking advantage of people and scamming them and swindling them. So these are the things that we would have to bring up in a good faith discussion to actually get some clarity on this, because that's something we need to do some digging on. We can't just say, oh, that's ridiculous. How is it that they only learn through us through movies? I always question things when I see somebody that, you know, mentions something in a state of ignorance. Now, there's a difference between being ignorant and stupid. If you don't know something, you just don't know, okay? That's totally different from being stupid. Where there's ignorance in good faith, you can stand to actually educate a person as long as the conversation is respectful, all right? So now that we got the movie part out of the way, I'm just giving y'all some advice on how you can have a constructive conversation with someone that's, you know, speaking in that manner. Ask questions back and forth. Be good listeners on both ends, okay? This is what intelligent people do. So now, you heard how the sister was also talking about how, like, when they come over here, all they're interested in is an opportunity and, you know, trying to make themselves, get themselves in a better position. I don't knock anybody for that. I really don't, okay? You know me on this channel, I made my view very clear. The only time I take issue with any immigrant, okay, not just the ones in the global black diaspora, I'm talking about any one of them. When you come over here and you start disrespecting and undermining my people, okay, that's when I have a problem with you, okay? I don't care what you do when you come over here. Just be respectful of us, because we made the opportunity possible for all immigrants to come over here, okay? So now, here's another question I would like to give those of you that's joining us in attendance over here tonight to ask people. I also ask them, if you come over here to get an opportunity, that's understandable. But why is it that you come over here with a chip on your shoulder towards Black Americans that haven't done anything to you based off what somebody told you? See, I'm going to tell you how I was raised in my family. We were taught to seek out information from an early age. And I understand everybody has different familial upbringings, okay, but I'm just sharing mine. I was always taught to seek out the truth, not just take something at first glance or first word, find out what the truth is. So if somebody's telling me a bunch of bad stuff about somebody, I hear what you're saying. I'll take note of it. But I need to find that out for myself. I need to go and have my own experiences with that person or those people to some degree, within reason. Okay, we're not talking about doing nothing foolish like walking down O Block, man. I don't believe there's no danger of it. Now, that would be very foolish, okay? But I'm saying within reason, just in general, as far as pertains, like if you were a continental African and you've been told a bunch of bad stuff about Black Americans, have a couple of experiences with our people first before you go with that assessment. And then you will see, just like with any place on earth, there's good people and there's bad people, okay? See, my challenge to my continental African brothers and sisters is this. Really stop and think about when you say that you only learn about us through movies, and I'm not punching down, okay? That's not what this broadcast is about. Challenge yourself and ask yourself this question. How intelligent is that to get an understanding of a people with an entire culture and history only through movies? If it's one thing if you say, okay, we've learned about your entertainment through your movies. Now, that's a fair assessment, okay? No problem with that. But now when it comes to who we are as a people, totally different, okay? And I also ask yourself the question of, did you get these negative statements from white people? Or did you get these statements from other self-hating Black people that we call coons? Because we're going to examine one of those here tonight, okay? We're gonna go across the board. It's going to be a very thorough broadcast here tonight, this evening here, okay? So ask yourself those questions if you're a continental African, all right? So now, we're going to get back to the rest of what the sister is saying, and I will be stopping it momentarily to break down things as need be. So let's let her continue.
When we were growing up, we watched a lot of movies. Guess how Black Americans were portrayed in movies? You're the lazy people, you were the crackheads, you were the drug dealers, you were the guys in baggy jeans riding children bicycles, you were the gangs and gang leaders, you were the absentee dad, you were the drug addict married to a white woman who's trying to put the house in order, you were the guys that were perpetuating gang violence and smoking weed and you understand, robberies. That's how Black people have been cursed in movies all along. White people are always like superheroes and saviors and very straightforward people. It's a deliberate thing, but that's how we have got. Before BT and MTV, there was a lot about Black people that we did not know.
So now again, I want to interject briefly here. Now, you heard the sister list some of the things that is portrayed about our people in the movies, which is true. But again, I would have to have this conversation, you know, and I've had this conversation, like I said, with my African friends. There are movies that depict white people in plenty of bad situations. Gangs of New York is one, okay? In any of these movies that you name where the white person is a villain, how is it that you didn't formulate that opinion about them? You know, and I'm laughing in good faith. I'm not laughing to pick at anybody. I have always found that very strange. Okay. And, you know, look, this conversation that I'm having right here with you all tonight, I've had it and laughed with a lot of my African friends over like, yeah, that is kind of silly when you think about it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, again, we have to like, the way I was taught to approach ignorance, again, big difference between ignorance and stupidity. That's two different things. I want to make that clear. I was always taught to approach ignorance with intelligence, within reason. Okay, within reason, where it's the opportunity to speak in good faith, where there's the opportunity to have a respectful conversation. And see, I think that, you know, a lot of times if we seek to do that where possible, we can, again, get understanding. Doesn't mean we're going to agree eye to eye on everything, but we can get an understanding. So that's it. We're going to let the sister continue.
That makes sense. And even the way news and coverage is always done, when something happens, the way Fox is going to cover it is not the same way as a Black-owned media house by Black people is going to cover it. Does that make sense? And so the representation of Black Americans to Africa has always been very skewed. There was a time I had a conversation with an entrepreneur who is currently in Ghana but was living in America, and he said, when Africans come to America, they're scared of us. I said, why? He said, Africans go to live in white people neighborhood, those who can't, like they can't wait to get out of the hood, and they don't want anything to do with Black people, or rather Black Americans, because of everything that they've been told or they've seen on the media. We do not understand how the last 400 years, the system has worked deliberately to hold back Black people. I have a
Now, I want to pause right here again. The statement that she just made right here, this is the importance of independent new Black media, because see, again, we see how CNN and Fox News, the BBC and everything covers news regarding the Black people, okay? We've covered several instances of the bias of media on this very channel and many other new Black media platforms. Now, this is why I always take the opportunity to share the work of our Grandmaster Teacher, Neely Fuller Jr. This is why I always take the opportunity to show them the stories like our good esteemed brother, Professor Black Truth, puts together on his Friday crime report that shows the things that they do, the white people rather, the dominant society, the crimes they commit that they try to wash under the rug, okay? And let me tell you something else where I like to start with when I'm having a good faith discussion with somebody who is a continental African. I start with the true things that have happened to continental Africans over here at the hands of Zaddy and Becky, okay? Yes, and like I say, I'm not picking on anybody or mocking the dead, but Christian Obumseli, okay? See, these are the things that you have to say, hey, did you know about this? Because chances are they're not going to really pay much attention to that. See, and this is another thing too, and again, I'm not punching down at anyone. I posit this to my continental African brothers and sisters that may be listening to this. You got to get that thing out your head, and some foundational Black Americans, let me be clear, you got to get this thing out your head that whenever white people say something, that's always exact and correct. And here's why I say that, because see, these things are very simple when you just stop and take the time to think. And see, in the world today, where everything is fast paced, when they always throwing a bunch of entertainment at you to keep you distracted. All that's designed to do one thing, disrupt your mind from actually thinking about things. Let me tell you something. The power of a pure human thought, that is the greatest weapon that a human being has, because from that manifests all manner of offense and defense in a number of ways. Stop and take the time to ask yourself this question, all right? When it comes to anything that these people are saying, why would I take the word of the lying colonizer when around the world history shows that they have a track record of lying, stealing, and cheating? See, this is the first thing that you have to do. And, and shout out to my brother, Philip Scott, because he wrote an excellent book called 7 Steps to Decolonizing the Mind. That's a very excellent book. It's a quick read. Actually, I advise everybody to go and pick that up if you have not already. Yes, the brother Philip Scott is an accomplished author, for those that do not know. But pick that book up and read it all the way through. And it will show you how the first thing that you have to do in order to make progress on the road of understanding, you have to change the way you think about certain things. There may be certain things that people, whether you continental African, Caribbean, or foundational Black American to an extent, there may be certain things that you are accustomed to doing and you don't even realize that, okay, this is the wrong way to go about this as far as my thought process. You see what I'm saying? See, we always should be focused on seeking the truth from each other about each other. Everybody else need to get out family business, okay? That's how I view that, all right? And then we whatever agreement or disagreement we have, we do that in-house. But see, wherever them people are interjecting, and see, I got to be clear about this. One of the things I will notice in a lot of Twitter spaces, now I haven't had time to be in a lot of these spaces here lately, but I'm just speaking off what I've seen when I was, on Twitter like that. I got to go ahead and fire them Twitter spaces back up, by the way. But one of the things I would see when I was like looking at different conversations on there, from time to time I'll observe, maybe pop in or out. I noticed that when certain issues are being discussed in the continental African Twitter spaces, okay, it's always a mix, a whole bunch of people in there, especially them folks. Them folks meaning people in the dominant society on issues where I'm like, okay, this should be conversation between them. Like, white people shouldn't even have no input. They can listen, because you can't stop nobody from listening to your Twitter space. Well, you can block them or whatever, but as far as them having input in it, I'm like, nah, these some of the people that's responsible for causing the problems. And even if they are not, I think like a lot of them, you know what I'm saying, from what I've seen from actually going to different countries over there, a lot of them have this idea where they don't want to offend white people. They want to be viewed as inclusive. And that's all fine and good as long as those are decent people. But even if they are decent white folks, okay, we tend to more think as foundational Black Americans, hey, look, this discussion, you ain't got no business in the middle of this. Nothing personal, but this is a family affair. This is a family business, just like white people and every other race do, okay? So that's something I would challenge them to start doing. Get them folks out your business, man. Get them folks out your business when you're having certain discussions amongst one another, okay? So we're going to let the sister continue with what she's saying, because I thought this was a very interesting perspective on different things. So I'm going to bring it to you all here tonight, and we're going to dissect it down, and we're going to learn something.
Cousin of mine, she and her mom moved to America a long time ago. She's the only person in our extended family that's in America. That should just tell you how Kenyans perceive like leaving the country. And I remember asking her, I was really young. I think I was 16 or 15 when they came to visit. I said, oh, do you have like Black friends? And she said, I think she was in Atlanta for school or something. She said, it's hard to relate with Black Americans because they want you to be like them. No job, no house, no nothing, no future. I was too young to comprehend it, and I just remembered it when I was recording this video. And for her, as an African coming to America, she's coming to the land of opportunities, and she will do whatever it takes, right? But for people who've lived there and have been systematically held back by the system, you can understand how it looks, how it feels. And so when you see that there are certain Black people that are not necessarily doing well, it's not because they're lazy or they don't want to put in work. It's just you've not walked a mile in the issue, I also interviewed another lady who said every time they come here, she's Black like me, like she's not even mixed race, like she's black. If she doesn't open her mouth to speak, you wouldn't know that she's American. When she did her ancestry test, most of her DNA is from Nigeria. So literally she's African, and her parents just moved to America to try and give her a better life. But she says when she comes here, she's judged as an American, and people are trying to rip off all the small money that she has. And she's like, people have this assumption that Americans have money, and it's true, and there's certain Americans that have money, but Black people as a community have the least amount of money. Then I was interviewing Kev Boy, who told me.
So I want to pause it right here, right? Now, we're going to work our way backwards. The sister was telling the experience of an acquaintance of hers that, went to the continent. Yes, that part is true. You go over there and they do find out that you're an American, okay, a Black American. They know that the US dollar goes much further over there, okay? Sadly, here's one of the misconceptions that a lot of the older continental Africans have, and sadly, sometimes they pass it down to the young ones. A lot of them tend to think that all white people are rich. Like, they really do. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you from the perspective of someone that has gone to many different nations. Again, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying anybody that's African from any nation, that's the truth. One experience that you will have is like if you go to some places, okay? Some places are better than others, but got to tell the truth. If you're being served there, all right, and I'm not saying all, again, make that clear, but if you're being served at, like, let's say a restaurant, you come in there or whatever, and you're a Black person, and they can't tell that you one of them, that you are a Black American, rather, if there's a white person or Indian or Arab person in there, they will go to serve them first because they be thinking, okay, this person that's not Black is going to give me a bigger tip. All right, that's what they be thinking. And then, like, if you say something about it, they're like, oh, okay. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have a lot to unlearn about how they perceive things. And see, I got to tell the truth about that. Now, another thing that you will run into when you go to certain countries over there, if you've never been to an African nation, over here in the West, we're moving. We're used to being punctual, okay? It's not like that over there, okay? I ain't going to say all, but, don't be thinking that everything's going to work as fast as it does over here. It's just not that way. I would be lying if I told you that. Some places are better than others, but that's an experience that you will have to deal with. So another thing I wanted to touch on too that I didn't previously when the sister was speaking, this is a warning that I keep trying to give to my continental African brothers and sisters, okay? Particularly, because some of the Caribbean brothers, they kind of know better, but I tend to see a lot of continental Africans will come over here. They will move to the whitest places they can find. Wyoming, Maine, North Dakota, the white parts of Minnesota. I'm like, hey, whoa, where do you think the white supremacists live? You putting yourself behind enemy lines when you do that, because I mean, look, on this very channel, and I need to start doing that again. I need to start covering the stories that happen to them when they go and move themselves up there in these white isolated areas, because the mainstream media really don't talk about that. I need to start doing them stories again, and not out of any joy, but to warn the people that when you put yourself behind enemy lines, these people that we know, because we've been in close proximity to them for so long over here, you think that you're doing something that's going to upgrade your status, because see, I got to tell the truth. The reason why they will do that, it's not just because they have an issue with foundational Black Americans. That can be part of it because of the propaganda that some of them choose to believe without doing their own research. I will say this, the younger people are a bit more better about it because they believe in challenging things. Usually a lot of the young continental Africans, they come over here, man, I'm not saying you won't find any coons amongst them, but one way they learn to unlearn some of that stuff is by interacting with our culture. Usually it starts with entertainment. Then they start interacting with you like, hey, man, this is how our people really are. But one of the great dangers is when they move to those all white places, what they're trying to do is impress people back home. See, I got to tell the truth. What a lot of them will do when they come over here and do that, they just say they get a house in an all white neighborhood and got a little job, what have you. Even if it's not an extravagant job, they like to show off to people back home and say, see, look where I am. I'm in America. I'm over here with the white people. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, you putting yourself in danger when you do that. Okay, look at what happened to Irene Gakwa, that sister. Okay, I did that story right here on this channel. All right, you can find it in my archives. So while they're so interested in trying to show off, and then the next time that they do happen to go back home, they basically kind of have this thing where like they're trying to look like a big fish in a small pond amongst their people. And I'm not saying all, but y'all know I'm telling the truth. You're a continental African person listening to this live recorded, you know I'm speaking the truth with what I'm saying. I've seen it with my own eyes over there, and I've seen it with my own eyes over here. All right. So that's one of the reasons why they call themselves trying to hop into them all white neighborhoods. The problem is, as all of us who are foundational Black Americans know, when you do that, you isolate yourself, and there's going to be white supremacists in white neighborhoods. And as soon as they find out that you the only one over there, that's when the trouble is going to start. And a lot of times, here's the sad part about it. For the people that do that, this is the part where I hold them accountable for. I'm talking about for the people that the continental Africans that like to move into all white neighborhoods. When they start getting harassed and things start going bad, they don't say anything because they're ashamed and they're trying to save face. Let me tell you something. You that do that, I hold you highly responsible for anything that happened to your brothers and sisters that come over here trying to follow in your footsteps. See, this whole thing about where if you experience racism and you just duck your head and don't say nothing, the way that works with the white supremacists, once they see, and I got to be thorough with this because this is why they tell a lot of you who are continental Africans that they prefer you over foundational Black Americans. When they get started with us, we check them immediately. Okay, most of us that have a backbone, we check them immediately. We go in and cut it off. If you don't check them when they start with their mouth and little racial slurs, the next thing they're going to do, they're going to keep the racial slurs going to get worse. Then it finally escalates to, oh, okay, this little old nigga ain't going to do nothing. I got something for you. Now I'm finna get physical. Okay, it's going to start with horse playing and pranks. And then if you don't do nothing about that, that's when they seek to harm you then because they see you don't have no backbone. So when these white folks, when you come over here, and I'm speaking primarily to the continental Africans that immigrate over here, this is a warning from your brother. You don't have to listen, but I'm going to tell you the truth. When you come over here and that's what you end up doing, look at all the news stories where that happens. If you do a bit of backstory, it start out just like I said. And then that African person ends up getting hurt severely or either killed, okay? So those of you that are sitting over there trying to save face so you can show off to, you know, your friends and family back home where in your homelands, think about what danger you putting your fellow continental Africans in when they come over here, okay? If you're going to have them come over here, the smart thing to do is to get the game from us. And then if you are going to take the risk to go into those places, you need to know what you're going into, okay? So that's what I would say about that. But we're going to let the sister get back to it here because she's got a lot more she's going to expose here, and I think it's going to help everybody.
Something very interesting. He said, why is it that when Black people excel in America, it's such a big deal? Because these are like unicorns. It's now beginning to happen for them. And that should tell you for how many years they were systematically held back. And he also said something. Look at the places where Black people excel, Black Americans, that is sports and entertainment, because this is just like pure talent. When politics come into play and strategy, and then white supremacy kicks in, and it's everywhere. And so it's really, for us, now we're beginning to educate ourselves and have sort of a rough idea of what goes on. You know, up until George Floyd, many Africans, and I can say this with such a strong conviction, did not know how dire racism was in America. I think the first time that I got exposed to racism in America was in 2016. I was doing my internship and there was a person who was shot in the chest by the police in the streets. Yet the police had already restrained him. He was already on the ground. And I couldn't watch it twice. I was just like, how can you do this? I didn't understand what had happened. I was also really young. I think I was 20, 21. And then I just never thought about it until George Floyd. And you might have thought that it will stop at George Floyd. It didn't. It keeps happening. Can you imagine? I interviewed somebody who said hearing shots is normal. His brother was killed by the police. Can you imagine the burden that these people have to bear?
So let's deal with what the sister was just saying, because see, when our brother George Floyd was murdered by that demonic race soldier, may he rot for all the rest of his days in prison, Derek Chauvin, that was a global turning point, not just for foundational Black Americans here, but for everyone in the global Black diaspora. Because see, we got to look at how the system of global white supremacy works. All right, family? Like the sister was saying, unfortunately, due to them having a monopoly on global media, they portray Black people in a certain light, okay? And then when they go over there, the white people go over there with their NGOs and little missionaries, you know, they get off to the side, start talking bad about Black Americans. That's one thing they all have in common. I've even caught them doing it. My travels of the years over there, and I checked the shit out their ass. That's a story for another day, boy. Boy, let me tell you something. Y'all can do what you want to do, but I'm going to tell you one of the most satisfying things I've had happen when you go over to African nations, when you end up checking one of them and they don't realize that you're a Black American until you start talking and they just start stuttering. Oh, that is hilarious. That is funny, but that's a story for another day. Here's the thing. When that happened to our brother George Floyd, that really opened their eyes that, okay, what these white people told you we was exaggerating about, now you see it, okay? The blatant and cold-blooded way that they killed that brother, as I've said before, that was gut check time for me. I remember I had conversations with the men in my family, and the tone of the conversation was, if this happens to one of us, what are we prepared to do? I won't go into detail about the particulars of that conversation. Let's just say we all on code about what we intend not to let happen. I will put it that way. But see, for our continental African brothers and sisters, when they saw that, they were in a state of shock. They thought that, you know, oh, did y'all just lazy, this, that, the third, all these stereotypes, Black people just complaining, they spoiled, they're ungrateful, all the stuff that the white people done told them. And then when they saw that, as you can hear even right now, after this has happened, listen to how the sister is shocked by even just recalling that. Because in their mind, they can't, it's hard for them to fathom exactly what white supremacy is when it starts to act to harm Black people, okay? Due to they're in nations over there surrounded by their own. Because see, family, this is the thing about it. If you've never been to the continent, over there, this is the sad part about how white supremacy has manipulated them. Over there, everybody that they see that's in charge is Black, okay? So when things gonna go wrong, they're looking at a Black person. The part that they don't understand is, this is why I encourage a lot of them, especially the young ones that contact me, to pick up the book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins, and read that book cover to cover. Then I put them up on other information to show that these Black puppet leaders up there, they're controlled by white hands. So yes, they're responsible and complicit, but there's a puppet master behind that that's responsible for it, okay? See, that's the hard part for them, because that's the part a lot of them don't get. Okay, now a lot of the younger continental Africans are starting to get that trick bag that's been going on over there. So this is why they will come over here and try to get the game from us and route with us. So this is why I try to tell a lot of us, hey, if there's an African brother or sister coming over here trying to get the game from us, to let them exhibit that they're doing so in good faith before you just jump down their throat saying, oh, all them Africans hate us. No, don't do that. Just like we don't want them to do that with us, okay? So now, when you look at the horror of what happened to the brother George Floyd, that really forced a lot of them to get a wake-up call. They were like, oh, shit. And see, furthermore, here's the thing. They realized that that could be them too, because, you know, we saw what happened to the brother Botham Jean, who was Caribbean. And what we've been trying to tell them for so long is, just because you come from over there, that doesn't mean that they're going to look at you and be like, hey, I'm an African, hey, I'm not like the Black American. No, they look at all these niggas, okay? So if you run across a white supremacist that wants to do you some harm, then, hey, he going to get with you. And it's up to you to prepare to defend yourself and neutralize that threat, all right? So see, a lot of times, man, events like that, as tragic as they are, can be used as teaching moments and teaching tools. These are good conversations to have with brothers and sisters and, just get their take on it, because she's expressing how that made her feel and, what other people around her thought about it. So when they do speak on these things, we have to let them know that this happens because it's a system. It's not a handful of white people. It's not one or two. This is a system of them over here. This is why things are the way they are with black people, okay? So, you know, this is why I thought it very important for her to speak on that. Let's let the sister continue.
And so this video is not to excuse ignorance, right? But it's to sort of put into context why some things are always said the way they said. And there's no excuse, because what you perceived is not necessarily reality. If white movies are showing you this right now, there are people like they're black entertainers who are writing scripts that reflect truly the reality of black Americans in America. In philosophy, we are taught by Dr. Olekamau, of course, you can't know hot without knowing cold. Black Americans might be all that you say and some more, but that's the cold part. What's the hot part? Even a coin has two sides. Okay, we hear all these negative things about black Americans. They could be true, okay, but then tell me the positives. Tell me the good things about them, you know. You cannot discredit the value that the black American community has had in America. If we're just being honest, the country was built off their blood, sweat, and tears. You know, they continue to hold fort in some of the most critical sectors, such as healthcare. You know, and in as much as the West is beginning to take in more people, nurses, doctors from all over, these careers that black people have held, like they've worked so hard to get in. Like, you cannot discredit the amount of effort that black people are consistently putting in terms of even legislation and putting the right people in office, in terms of championing for themselves. You know, the other day I was watching, I don't know, I think maybe it is BT, and just the way that they were talking about all the things that black Americans have had to endure to get to where they are, then you begin to start respecting their struggle. And so black Americans might not perceive things the way Africans perceive, but there's a story behind why they do things the way they do. Does that make sense? Black Americans do not want to scrub toilets anymore because they've done that for the last 400 years. They've been at the bottom of the food chain, and they're asking, can you let us in? They're asking, they want their kids to go to better school, better healthcare, you know, better nutrition, better representation. All these issues build up and hold them back in very unique but detrimental ways that we as Africans going in cannot relate. Because for you, when you're going in, it's not about the bigger picture. For you, it's just, how can I make a living? How can I make a decent living? How can I be able to make enough money to build a house back home and start a business, and then that's it? These guys, they don't have another home to go back to. You can go back to Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. You can go back to Ghana. That's their home. And so it's almost unfair. It's not almost unfair. It is unfair to judge people whose struggle you have no idea or no context about. You could be living in the same country as them, but that's your first year, you're the first generation in that country, and how you will experience that country is very different from how the people that have been born there, bred there, and have lived as second-class citizens will experience it, you know.
So I want to pause it right here and deal with a little bit more what the sister is saying, okay? Now, you see, when you have an African brother or sister that's speaking like her, you can have a conversation with them. That will be one of the most productive discussions you ever had. And shout out to our brother Philip Scott, because see, one thing I love about that brother's platform is he deals with international news on the geopolitical level, and he works with many brothers and sisters on the continent. So brother Phil, one thing about him, I don't care whether you like his content or don't like it. One thing about him, if you're going to work with that brother, you got to be straight up and down. He don't have no buck dancing raccoons on his channel. He works with a lot of on code continental Africans, and he gives them a platform so you can see what that mindset looks like this sister right here. Okay, people that you can actually have a conversation with. All right, the sister has her own channel, by the way. And see, here's the thing, right? This is what I would tell our continental African brothers and sisters, especially if you're a new immigrant over here. You better adhere to the advice of this old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, okay? Because this is a misconception that a lot of them have. They'll be thinking that their experience is going to be different. No, it's not. When you come over here to America, everything operates off race. Don't you listen to these buck dancing Sambos and Sambits like Candace Owens and Larry Hilder and the rest of these raccoons, okay? Because see, this is the thing. The foundational Black American coons like Jesse Lee Peterson, they know they cooning. They get it. They don't really believe the crap that come out of their mouth. The ones like Candace Owens, oh, they believe it. They believe it until they get their wake-up call, that is, okay? That's the thing. So if you are a continental African over here, let me go ahead and burst your bubble right now, and I'm bursting it in a way that it will help you. If you come over here thinking that things are going to be so much better because you not from here or whatever, just wait till you get whatever job you get and it's time for you to move up. You will not advance in the ranks the same way as your white counterparts. That's where a lot of them starting to catch their snap. They're like, okay, now you start to see what we're talking about in a systematic way. See, I think too, a lot of times when continental Africans come here, when you say the term racism, okay, they think somebody just calling you a bad name. They have to get more accustomed to being in a system of white supremacy where racism, it might not be nobody calling you a bad name. It could be you qualified to get XYZ position, but they skipping over you time after time and promoting the white person, okay? Or things of that nature. See, when they start to see how it operates on a systematic fashion, a lot of them that have sense, they'll be like, okay, I get it now. You see what I'm saying? See, that's a culture shock coming from, you know, their homelands over there where they're not directly dealing with large numbers of white people because, you know, mostly Africans that are Black run things, all right? So they understand the corruption, but see, when they come over here as far as like white people being in control and how they'll do you systematically, that's a whole nother ball game. See, one of the saddest things in the world for me, when I see a lot of them come over here and they have a degree or they getting a degree or, you know, they get this type of position at whatever job they're in, they start thinking that, okay, because I have these things, now the white people are going to treat me just like them. And nothing could be further from the truth. Even when you start buck dancing and being a sambo, they usually catch their snap when they figure out, okay, if you hadn't ran across it yet, wait till you start trying to date one of them and see how the rest of the white people perceive you and treat you then. And see, here's the other thing too that, you know, I try to speak primarily to the young continental Africans on this issue. Get your confidence and your self-esteem up to the point that when you see racism and white supremacy, don't duck your head down and just think I got to put up with this. No, you don't. You see what we do, follow your brother's lead. Follow your foundational Black American brother's lead. We don't put up with that shit. Understand this, at the end of the day, especially if you're a young man, okay? Like I said, it's one thing to be a sister, you know, a kind of African sister, and I'm not telling them to put up with it either. But as a man, you have to understand your role as the protector and provider of your women and your children. You should not be able to just accept that, whether that means dealing with it legally, and you damn sure don't let these motherfuckers put their hands on you, okay? Because they know not to try that with us. Again, this is why they say, oh, we y'all are different from them. Y'all not like them Black Americans. Yeah, they know, because we will stomp that ass if need be. And do it with a smile on our face and lose no sleep over it. That's how I see. It's better to be respected, okay, by them people than liked by them. Oftentimes, too many of you will come over here and you want them to like you. Let me tell you something. You can take like all day long, ball that shit up and throw it into a hot, steaming New York dumpster. You gonna respect me. You have to. That is not optional. That is non-negotiable. And I think for a man, that should be something that you never compromise on, especially dealing with them damn folks. So that's the advice that I would give to young continental African and Caribbean men coming over here, or wherever you from in the global Black diaspora. Do not compromise your respect. At the end of the day, you got to look yourself in the mirror. At the end of the day, when you facing your wife or your children or your other family members, do not let these people rob you of your respect. Especially when you over there in your own countries, and I got to go here, when you have a lot of the Asians coming over there, boy, they're going to show you how to run that. But if y'all let them get in control of things, you have one or two of them beating up on one of y'all when you outnumber them 15-1. No. They should never be allowed to put up establishments in your homeland and tell you where you can't come. See, If that was the other way around and we had a nation over there, oh, they would never come there. Oh, hell no. That's the foundation of Black American nation on the continent. I would guarantee you they would hardly ever come over there because they're like, okay, nah, we go over here and get started with these Negroes. We already know what time it is. See, I'm telling you, just look at how they operate over here. Y'all see what it is. So that's what I want to see from the on-code continent of African brothers and sisters, man. Yeah, hey, don't let these people mistreat you and sacrifice your self-respect. Just like we don't, okay? You stand up for yourself. So we're going to let the sister go further into her experience here and explaining a couple of different things because she's about to say something very important. I hope y'all catch this.
For us, we don't mind. You can work so many jobs and go to school and do whatever it takes to succeed. And there's certain Black Americans that are doing that, but just to discredit them when you've not walked a mile in their shoe, I feel like that's really unfair. And I feel like everything that he got, he deserved, because there's no single, you left your own country, right? Because it was so hard for you to make it there. So imagine it was hard for you to make it in your own country that you had to leave and go to another person's country. So why are you judging them when they're struggling in their country? Why are you judging them when they're trying to find their way, build back up, you know, I'm just saying that as Africans, let's be a little bit lenient because it doesn't matter what we go through as Africans abroad. We will never know what it is like to be a Black American in America. We will never know. We can experience similar sets of challenges because to racists, a Black person is a Black person, but the magnitude and the way we experience these challenges and our perception and our way out of it is very different. I don't know. I've been going on and on and on and on and on. Let me know if I've said anything that resonates with you. Let me know if you do not agree with me, if you disagree with something. I'm always open to having these conversations because at the end of the day, we're learning. Ever since I began talking to people, I've learned a lot. I have really learned a lot. You know, social media has also helped us in like opening the world and showing us what we think and what we perceive in reality is very, 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 very different. So, I mean, I just wanted to put it into context why Africans might perceive Black Americans in a certain type of way, but that is not necessarily the reality and it's not an excuse for saying that on air. But then again, it's also very important to know that Black Americans, and I've heard this so many times from people, say Africans do not like them. That's a video for another day. But for the records, we have no problem with you guys. Personally, I know so many Black Americans that I do not have a problem with. But until we rectify that part of history and acknowledge that this happened, and it happened out of greed, some people sold their people, it happened because the white people overpowered some colonies and just took people, then the journey of healing will begin. But I've heard it so many times, people saying, oh, they don't even like us. Why do you go there? I do not necessarily think that's accurate because it's always based on history. And I think moving forward, Africans are beginning to recognize that you guys are just like us. You're people, you came from us, you know. We might see things differently, but it doesn't change the fact that at the end of the day, to the Western world, we are all Black, you know, we're all Black. I have deviated from this video. We'll do another video just dissecting that. I'll see you again next time, guys.
There's no race.
All right, so you heard the sister's experience there. And see, here's the thing, right? What I would say to the sister Odiro Oganga, I think that's it. I hope I'm pronouncing the sister's name right, okay? Because it was in the description there. You know, here's the thing. All we ask as foundational Black Americans is our interactions with one another should always lead with respect, okay? So if you see your brothers or sisters getting disrespectful, you check them. Because if we have to do it, then it's going to get disrespectful. You know, and the same would apply vice versa. But for the record, and history shows this, we don't go over to their countries in large numbers and seek to be disrespectful of their government, the people, their culture, or their history, okay? But in the other way around, unfortunately, we see how a lot of them will come here and they will be disrespectful. Now, I brought that to you here tonight so you can see the difference between a sister like her that's speaking in good faith versus one of the tether class. We always make that clear distinction because you've seen it many a times. The people like, well, I ain't gonna even call their names. We've seen who they are. You know, the people that try to stir up disruption. They try to say, you FBA hate Africans. And no, we have a problem with disrespect for Africans. Just like the sister was saying, she doesn't have a problem, basically in so many words, with those of us that are not disrespectful, okay? See, for me, it's a simple and easy thing for me to do is lead with respect, whoever I'm dealing with, whether I'm dealing with those of us that are in our lineage or outside of it. Even with people in the dominant society, I don't approach them disrespectfully. Okay, if I have to have dealings with them, I wait till they engage me disrespectfully, and then that's where I go ahead and make the determination of how I need to rectify or deal with that situation, okay? So, again, I just want to say this to our continental African brothers and sisters, we just have to exercise leading with respect and having conversations about things like this. Because, see, I'm going to tell y'all what I think would be really dope. I look forward to, situations where large numbers of us, and you know what? The Foundational Black American Expo that's going to be held in Dallas, Texas. Y'all who are continental African and Caribbean are welcome to come there. These will be great opportunities for us to sit down and break bread with one another as a family without them folks in our business and just have some conversations, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, one of the things I also like to do here before we get on to this next segment, I always study Memorandum 46. I've covered that on this channel, okay? I've covered that. Go down the archives of my channel, and you will see how I broke that down, how they showed this memo that was leaked that they try to claim is fake, but all you have to do is look at how they operate across the world. They never did want Black Americans and continental Africans to link up and get on code and actually do things productive, like, do business with one another. That's the main thing. They didn't want us building a global Black first economy. Whatever them folks don't want us to do, we should do it, okay? For those of us that are on code and want to work with one another, and you don't have to call it Pan-Africanism or whatever, just call it, hey, if this Black person is on code with me, let's link up and build. That should be as simple as that. As long as we respect each other, let's get some things done, man. So I hope that was very informative for you all. But what I want to show you right now, this situation right here that we're about to analyze, as you see this little dude here, he got him a Becky on his arm. We're going to analyze this situation, and I want y'all to listen to this because, see, these types of situations right here, they're the kinds of situations that continental Africans coming over for the first time, they've never experienced these things, okay? Because, again, there's not a whole bunch of white people where they are. I'm going to let this play, then we're going to come back and give some commentary.
Mixing was illegal up until 2000. Race mixing was illegal up until 2002. You're going to give up 50,000 years of evolution if you mix up with this dude.
Are you filming us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
just look awkwardly.
No, you realize that race makes it's going to give up 50,000 years of your evolution, right? There's 2 billion of those people being born because of.
Did you know that it's actually better evolutionary to like?
No, it's not.
I'm not going to talk science.
No, it's not.
I'm a scientist.
No, it's not.
I'm a scientist, and I'm not going to talk about this.
Literally, you're just throwing down your genetic line.
For sure.
Pretty much, you're just LARPing. You're LARPing as a European in America. If you had any actual heart,
Okay, so now for those of you that haven't caught this yet, this is a white supremacist talking to this interracial couple here. And you heard him use the term LARPing. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's live action role playing, okay? Yes, I know the mouth breathing, goofy ass white supremacists. That's something they're big into, especially in that gaming community, boy. Oh, boy, they're heavy over there. But the term LARPing means live action role playing. And he was telling them that that's what they're doing as far as their situation. So now, I want y'all to examine how this white supremacist is confronting this Becky here, because, see, in his mind, he was like, hey, Helfer, you off code. So I got to publicly call you out. So now for a lot of you continental African brothers that like to get, the first thing you like to do is get you a white woman. If you were in a situation like this, just ask yourself, how would you handle it? Let's let it continue.
integrity.
Hey, homie, are you done?
Go back to
Are you done?
What are you, a Jew?
Are you done?
Are you Jewish?
No, fuck no, man. Are you done though?
No, but I'm saying the truth.
No, hold on.
Actually,
Hold on.
no.
Are you
I
done?
am a scientist, and you
Stop
are
it.
wrong.
Stop. He's
So you
hey, it's done now. It's done.
So you think?
You stop that. Stop
No,
that.
you
Homie, stop.
You think hybrid vigor is a thing?
Bro, film me, bro. Film me.
Okay.
Film me. Just stop. Stop that shit.
What are you?
Right?
What are you? Some SJW warrior?
Dude, I don't give a fuck.
Hey,
it's done.
white people are only 7% of the world's population.
Now, here's something else we have to point out about this confrontation right here. We see the white supremacists. We heard what he said to the interracial couple. However, this is what would confuse a lot of our continental African and Caribbean brothers and sisters, primarily our continental African brothers and sisters. Pay attention to this lesson if you are a continental African person. This white guy with the troublemaker rabbit, the little pink shirt on, that's telling him, hey, dude, stop, dude, film me, dude, it's over, dude. Don't think that he is the good guy, because what he was doing, he didn't say, hey, you're being an anti-black racist. This is white supremacy. Stop. See, they call it, dude, it's over. He basically dancing around it. So you would think, okay, yeah, that's the good guy. Now, he's trying to intervene, but see, to go to show you how they stay on code, he's not calling him out for what he is. See, a lot of times they will see something like that, they'll be like, oh, that must be the good white guy. And not necessarily, because see, the good white folks, they call it what it is, okay? See, none of this stuff slips by me. When you were raised in the South, it's life or death that you learn what you actually dealing with. So even though he's trying to intervene and trying to stop them from harassing that interracial couple, he didn't confront him and tell him what he really was and embarrass him so it's on camera. So in a way, he's really still on code with him. See that, like, for example, before we let the rest of this play, I'm sure plenty of you, and don't incriminate yourselves, but I'm sure plenty of you have had to witness or may have been involved in physical activity of the corrective nature when dealing with the alabaster class. And you notice that when you have to administer this corrective instruction in a physical manner, when you start doing so and you get in the better of them, they start running over there. All right, dude, you got him, dude, you stop. And I'm like, listen, let me tell you something. The time for you to intervene should have been before I had to hook them jumper cables up to his ass. Because if I have to do that, I'm gonna get you too if you come over there. Don't wait till you, because see, they'll sit there and see their little flunkies doing something, those anti-black racists amongst them. They'll see them out of line and they'll just sit there and watch. I'm like, okay, don't intervene now once he crossed the line and attempt to get physical, and I go ahead and neutralize the threat. Because at that point, when you run your little pale ass over there, you the next target, okay? So if you gonna deal with it, you better get them before it go down. That's my rule with that, okay? So now we gonna let this play here, because see, I really want to take the time to point that out. Don't be confused about, okay, just because he stepped up to intervene, he's not calling it out for what it is. That's the most important part, especially since it's gonna be on camera. Say what it is that's going on. Don't just try to act like, oh, he's stupid. He's being ignorant. No. Call your fellow colonizer out, okay, and prove that you're not one of them. See, for me, you got to prove to me that you are not on the same code with them. And I'm not really seeing that when you don't be aggressive in calling out white supremacy when you see it. So I just want to point that part out. Let's let it continue.
That's me. And I'm part of that. And I'm part of that. And it's done now.
And if we
whatever you're doing is done.
If we intermix, we're gonna become.
Who gives a fuck, dude?
I give a fuck, because
Why?
we're the only creators of society.
No, we're not.
No,
we ain't.
Net migration only flows into white country. It doesn't flow into.
Just stop.
Exactly.
Stop.
Hey,
Walk across the street.
okay, name me one black country that you would want to move to.
Name me one.
Yes, name me one black country that you would move to.
This is my guy right here. Just go.
Name me one black or brown country that you would move to. Everybody moves into white countries. Everyone moves into white countries for a reason. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because you don't have a retort.
Now, let me tell y'all how your brother would have handled that situation. And I know, right? I got to reach here and do a hypothetical, because first and foremost, y'all know me. I don't want their women. I'm not attracted to their women. And I'm one black person. I'm one black man. When I say that, I'm really not attracted to their women. They don't do it for me. Not even the ones that are the most attractive. I mean that shit. I am not playing with you when I tell you that. They women don't interest me. I don't like when they give me compliments. I really don't want to be around them long periods of time because I'm always looking at you like I don't know what the hell going on. I don't trust them like that. And I never will. No disrespect, but your history is your history. If I go down in society about something, it damn sure ain't going to be behind no goddamn Becky if I can help it. So I just want to get that part clear. So now, let me use this hypothetical. Oh, it's going to kill me to say it. Oh, you know what? I can't say me. If a black person, okay, because I started to say me, if I was a black person in that situation, I'll say it that way. And an anti-black racist came up to me and I'm sitting here with this white woman. Oh, God, I can't even imagine it. If I'm over there with her, though, and he approached me out and he started talking about name or a black country or white person want to move to, I would have hit him with this. I'd be like, well, I can tell you plenty of black countries that white people be moving to. They steady flocking over there on planes to Africa. Let me tell you something. The brother Lee Holmes can probably attest to this. When you go and board a flight to any continent, any country on the continent, white people on all them damn flights. Because they know when they get over there, unfortunately, they're going to be perceived a certain way. They can get away with damn near murder over there. And literally, sometimes, they going over everything they got going on. So if you see a bunch of white missionaries, I don't give a damn white folks. I'm going to tell the truth. If you see them white missionaries going over there, just know they going over there to molest some African kids. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Them NGOs that they got. Let me tell you something. I already know they don't know the good. I done seen how they move. You know what I'm saying? So I would have started hitting them. I'm like, okay, well, if it's really true, if you really a hardcore stomp down white supremacists, why y'all keep flocking over to these African nations? Boy, they just won't stay out of there, boy. I'm trying to tell you. They just won't stay out. I'm like, if you really hate black people that much, Africa would be the last place you would think they would be wanting to go. You know what I'm saying? Look, if you really want to be a true to the game heart, see, this is why I call cap on they claim they white supremacists, but you want to go over there and be up on the Africans. If you really want to be a true to the game hardcore white supremacist, all you goofy boys that's over there in South Africa, leave. Leave that country to the people that it belongs to. Get out, go back to the Netherlands, where you from. You come back to Europe or America or wherever. Stop going where black people at. But see, let me tell you something. They're not stupid. They know where most of those mineral resources are. They know they can go over there and use religion, and I got to tell the truth, to swindle a lot of our continental African brothers and sisters and then get rights to, certain things that they wouldn't be able to have over there. That's why they're going over there. Don't be fooled by that, okay? They're racist and white supremacists, but they know what they can extract from those places. So I understand why they're doing it. But I would have challenged that white supremacist with that if you would start bringing that up. I'd be like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. I can show you where your people at, where black folks at. Why they over there? You need to call them back home, okay? So now that we've gotten that out the way, I got to bring this back. And before we play this, I'm going to make the disclaimer. Person that you see on the screen, he is deceased. We are not going to mock the dead, even though what he's about to say is going to be very despicable. Some of you probably don't know who this is. This was David Carroll, okay? He was affiliated with the Black Manosphere, and he hated not only himself, but black people, period. And I'm using this to point out because he was FBA. I told you we're going to look at what off-code FBA looked like, too. See, continental Africans, take notes. Just because somebody's foundational Black American and they start cooning or they exhibit hatred towards our people and side with white supremacy, we call them out over here. A lot of times what y'all would do when you come over here, y'all try not to say nothing and just keep your head down when you see your people being disrespectful, whether it's an Akon or whoever. We check our own over here. That's the difference, okay? That's what the theme of the broadcast is tonight. We're going to point out those differences. Family, I got to play this, and I want y'all to hear this. This might be the first time some of you have heard this. But when you hear what this man's about to say, you're going to see why I describe him the way I did. So without further ado, I'm going to let him speak in his own words.
Arguments that was used to defend slavery was that if you release this Negro, if you allow him to go free, at some point in the future, he is going to destroy your civilization. Fast forward into the future, you had Birth of a Nation, which, by the way, I consider to be a historically accurate film, one of my favorite films. But Birth of a Nation also tried to warn America about this Negro, of which many people considered the Birth of a Nation racist. They said this is a racist film, the way it depicted black people. They said this is racist, but yet and still, it tried to warn you. Now when we view the Negro in 2015, we would have to admit that those pro-slavery advocates and Mr. Griffith, the creator of Birth of a Nation, were not racist. They were in fact prophets.
Just pearly things. What do you think?
So now, you heard that with your own ears. I did not stop that while he was speaking. David Carroll was speaking. He is deceased. Let us not mock his death. But that is an example of a self-hating Negro, okay, or was, that would side with white supremacy. Family, you can go and watch the movie by D.W. Griffith, Birth of a Nation, right here on YouTube. I have watched it from front to back. It's about 3 hours long. And that is one of the most despicable, racist pieces of propaganda you will ever see. The president at the time described the movie to be historically accurate and said it was like writing history with lightning. Okay. That's what the sitting president at the time said. I forgot who it was. But family, when you have a black man that's willing to sit up here and co-sign that, and he addressed him as Mr. Griffith, where have we seen that before? We've seen it. I got the names. What you looking at on the screen here, the little pale Gila monster face heifer. You saw one person, I know, Obsidian, who disappointed me greatly, as intelligent as he is. Miss Pearl, Miss this. Okay, you see what I'm saying? See, there's a propensity for the coon, whether foundational Black American or non-foundational Black American, to refer to white supremacists with reverence. I posit to you this: when a black person of any lineage reaches that stage, you are too far gone to save. You have pretty much designated yourself over there with the oppressor class, and there is no reaching you at that point. Not for an intelligent black person. Once you go that route, there's nothing else I can do for you. I don't care whether it's male or female or what lineage you are of. I wanted you all to hear that so that you understand what you're dealing with people that revere him. Okay, because he was a part of that space. They referred to him affectionately as Uncle Dave. See, the problem with what David Carroll used to do was, if you really go and look at his content, because the channel is still up, it's mostly black incel content. Look, we're going to have ups and downs and experience bad things amongst people in our society, but I will never judge all of us by the worst of us. Because see, when you start to judge all of us by the worst common denominator in Black society, you basically have a white mind at that point, a white supremacist mind, shall I say. And that's what David Carroll suffered from. That, look, if you thought that was bad, if I put together a broadcast on some of the most coonish members of that Black manosphere space, you wouldn't even believe your ears, man. You know, because he said a lot worse than that. That was mild for David Carroll, believe it or not. But I pointed that out for a reason. Like I said again, continental Africans, just like I'm calling out that former Sambo, because he's deceased now, y'all gonna have to call out y'all living ones. You can't just sit here, and you need to let us know who they are. See, we'll tell you who the David Carrolls, who the Larry Elders, the David Clarks and all, and Jesse Lee Peters are. We'll point them out. Hey, that's a coon over there. Don't route with that, man. Hey, route with that at your own risk. Y'all gonna have to let us know who these coons are over here when you come here. If you route with us and you on code, that is. Okay? See, we make distinctions. Who is a tether and who's not. Now, I got to bring this over here to analyze this. A lot of you know who these two brothers are, okay? Now, if you're not familiar with Abba and Preach, they are comedians. The brother that you see right here, the shorter of the two with the braids in his hair, he is of Haitian descent, if I'm not mistaken. And the brother on the right-hand side that you see, he's of Ethiopian descent, if I am not mistaken. If you all know different than that, correct me in the chat room, okay? We like to be accurate over here when we speak. I want you to hear what they're about to say, because they weighed in on the Just Pearly Thing situation, which is still germane. I know a lot of people are talking about they're tired of talking about it, but nah, it's bigger than Pearl, because see, this was just done in the Black YouTube spaces. It pretty much let you know where everybody stands for that coon class, all right? Shout out to the brother Jason Black for doing that, because, you know, believe it or not, that brother don't realize, you know, the extraordinary talent that he really is with what he does a lot of times with his work, okay? So I have to give credit where credit is due on that, and I don't care whether you like how he talk or not, because I'm going to tell you again, if you was a Kevin Samuels fan, you didn't have no problem with Kevin Samuels' tone or what he said to black women in and night out. So don't even go there with that. But I'm going to play this clip, and it's going to tie into everything that we analyze here tonight. So I want y'all to pay close attention to what they're about to say.
I want to think about what?
About her getting in trouble.
It was bound to happen.
Okay, if you aren't aware, Just Pearly Things, the lady who's 26, unmarried, single, career-driven, and constantly tries to educate women on how to be submissive and married by 25, has gotten in trouble recently. Not for not taking her own advice and being the opposite of whatever the fuck she preaches, but more so for having Nick Fuentes, who's a white supremacist,
anti-Semite,
on her platform. And basically, when she invited him on the platform for
salute to the sister Iris Peoples for the cash out. Thank you very much, sister. So now, family, notice why he's talking about that. When they brought up Nick Fuentes, the first thing the brother on the left, and I want to say that's Abba. I think the Ethiopian brother is known as Preach. It might be the other way around, because I don't really watch their content like that, but I'm familiar with who they are. Okay, I'm familiar with who they are and what they do. Notice he quickly said anti-Semite. I don't want y'all to miss that part. He said anti-Semite very sternly, very directly. Wait till you hear the rest of how they describe Just Pearly Things, a.k.a. Life Spice, as I call them.
For an interview, she didn't push back against any of the stuff that she said, basically was co-signing him.
And I just like to say, when you come on Pearly Things, yeah? All right? We've got best smoke for you. And where you now?
Listen, you've sat down and you've ate off Just Pearly Things by tagging us, yeah? And your production is not our production. Our production is big out here. You get me? I got bare smoke for you lot, bro. Both of you lot. I got smoke for Abba and Preach, bro.
You're ain't saying shit now, right?
I'm pretty sure this dude's unemployed now.
You're ain't saying shit now.
Yeah.
If you come in, cause
she fired his ass.
When you come for Pearly Thing, where you now? Where's the smoke? Where's your cigar? Where's your cigarette? Where is it? Because when you come from one of us, yeah, and what about when people come from one of y'all? What's she gonna do? Nothing.
Listen, I'll say this about Pearl.
Fuck out of here, clown.
I think it's wild that people have an issue with her right now when she's made her entire career on clowning black women.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now that she said something about black people as a whole, y'all got an issue. But when she was clowning black, I remember this girl used to have videos back in the day. She used to hit me up all the time. I never really responded much. She used to hit us up and she's like, oh, I want to interview you guys. You know, I got one of the fastest growing podcasts in the world. This is like when she had like 100K subs. And she had this video. She's like, look at this video. It's going viral. And it was her talking to this black woman telling her how ridiculous she is. And on the face of it, it's like, all right, whatever. It's fine. But when I started seeing her try to do the new come up where she transitioned from what she used to be, which was before her videos were like, whitest girl in the world reacts to new rap song. Whitest girl in the world reacts to ABBA and Preach. I'm like, okay, this racial dynamic that she keeps playing into is corny and cringe as fuck. But she saw it as a marketing ploy. That was her in to get in, right? She then transitioned to the next step, which is like, oh, I see what Kevin Samuels and some of these other red pills are doing. Let me try to emulate that. So she inserted herself and she was just talking. And I was like, y'all don't find it fucking weird that a white woman who grew up in a extremely wealthy, in some rural part of America, okay?
So I'm going to show you the front of the house. So I wish I could like be in these videos, but I could not find a sibling that felt like...
Is making her career giving marriage and life advice as some young 22, 23-year-old to older black women. I'm like, you ain't got any Asian, Latinos, white women to critique. No, black women. So I was already looking at her a little bit weird, and she invited me a bunch of times. I never wanted to go on.
The thing, but
what thing?
Her whole thing.
You can't. That Instagram got deleted.
Even though you can still find the conversation if someone still get deleted.
No, after a while you can't. It just says Instagram user.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't find it. How would you find it if it just says Instagram user? You'd have to scroll all the way down.
Back, yeah.
And you're not going to go through general. There's hundreds of DMs.
Oh, it's in general?
Yeah, I didn't put it in.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to this bitch. Why I put her in the primary? She going to general. Fuck her. You fucking dweeb. This girl was corny to me. Do I think she's a grifter? Absolutely. Yeah, I do. I don't think she believes half the stuff that she says that comes out of her mouth. Her friends, her family have already come out and said stuff against her, and she's made up certain aspects of her life. But more importantly, I don't know, you just see the switch up that she's done over the last 2 years, and it's been fascinating to see the kind of title she had before, content she's making, to what she's making now. I just don't buy it. I never did. At the end of the day, do I think she's some kind of race supremacist? No, I don't. I think she's...
There it is right there, family. There it is. Now, notice how he said that. Do I think she's some type of race supremacist? No, I don't. Family, he couldn't even get the word white supremacist out of his mouth, even if he disagreed with it. But see, here's the question. How is it that you can see, because he's the Ethiopian one, okay? The brother in the light green shirt, all right, he's the Ethiopian one. How is it that you can hear her make the statements that she made? Because all of them have saw it by now. And say, I don't think that she's as he said, a race supremacist, because they don't want to say that term, but they're afraid to say the term white supremacy. I've noticed this. And I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about a lot of the brothers that are in the non-FBA global black diaspora. How do you not see that, brother? How is it, or why are you so afraid to say that? See, this lets you know that either one, you feigning ignorance, or two, you are absolutely clueless on what racism and white supremacy really is. See, again, they keep looking at it as somebody being overt with name calling. And then all you have to do is analyze that broadcast by Brother Jason Black. That was eloquently broken down. It has timestamps on it. So if you would like to go to the business and review that, you can find each and every part where he pointed out what the problem was and why everybody reacted to it the way we did. How is it that you can see these things right in front of your face and just be so oblivious? See, let's go here with it, right? Even though you're not foundational Black American, how is it that you don't understand when she's sitting up here with a well-known white supremacist and she's agreeing with him and they're laughing and making derisive comments about Africans and it's a big joke? My brother, I would say to you and anybody that looked at that and say, okay, I don't think she's a white supremacist or race supremacist, as you want to say, where is your pride, brother, for your people? Because, see, this goes into the greater problem, which I suspect it is. If they don't hear their particular group of African called out, then they just look at it as, okay, that's not my problem. I guarantee you, if she would have said something about Ethiopians, though, he would have had a problem with it then. See, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, something, okay? And I want my foundational Black Americans over here that's always talking about Pan-Africanism to listen to this and understand what I'm saying. Listen to understand. The reason why we keep telling y'all, and if you go to any of these African countries, the brother Lee Holmes in the chat will verify what I'm saying. They do not practice Pan-Africanism on the continent. You saw it in the broadcast I've done where I've shown you when the situation first kicked off in Ukraine and they were deporting Africans left and right. Other groups of Africans didn't really stand up for them and their governments didn't, because they're like, okay, if they're not my particular ethnic group of African, it's not my problem. Instead of saying, okay, touch one African anywhere, you fight us all everywhere. See, we understand that as foundational Black Americans. The equivalent would be, okay, let's go back in history. When they beat down our brother Rodney King, it got set off all across America. We didn't go, okay, they just did that to the California Foundation Black Americans. No, When that happened to George Floyd, we didn't go, okay, well, they just did that to the Minnesota Foundation. But no, you touch one of us anywhere over here, you fight us all everywhere. We gonna set this motherfucker off from one end to the other, okay? And they know that. See, that's the difference between us being on code and them not being on code. And see, if they really understood this, because again, I'm trying to teach here, if they understood to have that mentality that I just said, they could do a lot over there on the continent damn near overnight. Would it solve all their problems? No. But if they had this idea where like, okay, as long as you are a continental African, whether you Nigerian, Ghanaian, Ethiopian, Ugandan, Kenyan, South African, okay, whether you from Togo, whatever the case may be, whatever nation you from on the continent, as long as you're not trying to do any ill will or act untoward towards me, let's work together and build something. I see you as my fellow brother or sister, and it shouldn't have to be anything about what tribe you from, what clan you from. No, you African. But see, they don't think that way. That's where that's one of the main cultural differences that we have, okay? A lot of times, you know, a lot of my good African friends, when they're over here, right? And I'm not saying, hey, I ain't gonna do like Pearl, my Africans. No, my fellow brothers and sisters, okay? My continental African friends over here, that's one thing they always marvel at. They're like, man, y'all stick together over here, bro. But for the most part, they're like, yeah, when something go down, y'all click up like Voltron. Sadly, it take a tragedy for us to do that more often than not, but they tend to respect that about us, okay? And that's something they're going to have to grow towards over there on the continent, especially with China making the moves they're making now. Man, the younger people are the hope of the continent, I'll say that. They're very eager to learn, and they're very eager to try to change things because they are tired of it. See, that's the part that a lot of us over here don't see that's never been. Y'all don't understand. The young people that, when I say young, I'm talking about 21, 22 to 25 like that. They don't like the way things are going. They hate that, man. They really do. They want shit to be different. They are tired of them old niggas, like our brother TBA say, holding things back and the corruption and, you know, selling their birthrights away. They're tired of that, man. So they try to get the game from us, you know. Like I said, I'm going to have to do that Twitter space one day. I just got to figure out how to do it. Where the time differences is where y'all can talk to some of these younger brothers and sisters. Y'all be like, okay, I see what's going on now. If I'm gonna bring you something, it's gonna be the truth. That's one thing you can respect about me. Whether you like or agree or disagree, I'm gonna always give you the truth to the best of my ability. Okay. But see, with this situation, brother, y'all better get that through y'all head what a white supremacist is and isn't. Nick Fuentes, known white supremacist, she sitting up here agreeing with him. Didn't check him on anything he said. They're the same. They are 100% the same. That's the point we're trying to make to all of you that keep making excuses for it. They are one in the same. Y'all better learn that. Let's let it continue.
Just somebody who wants to make money. And her capitalistic mindset made her realize that black men will support a woman who echoes what they think, especially if she doesn't look like them. And so they threw money at her. Truth is, she's a goofy broad who found a way into the community and was able to make a lot of money off you guys. And she will continue because a lot of dudes are more concerned with getting back at women or showing them up than they are with actually getting to the truth of any situation. Because if you look at her, she's a giant flaming hypocrite. The thing that she is the exact thing that she preaches against. She ain't got no husband. She's a career-driven woman who's very, very argumentative and isn't submissive in any type of way. How's she the one to tell everyone how to live and what they should be, but she's not even an example of the thing that she talks about? Y'all never found that shit kind of weird? And then on racial issues, I don't even think that she's some kind of supremacist. I just think she's ignorant. That's it.
Family. I will give this brother credit for what he said, and that was accurate because he was spot on with, okay? The Ethiopian brother. And I think the Ethiopian brother is Abba, and I think the Haitian brother is Preach. I hope I got that right, okay? Brother, y'all immigrants have to get this thing out your head where you keep thinking that anti-black racists are just ignorant. I'm going to make this very simple. And let me make sure I preface this statement so everybody listening to this live recording knows who I am talking to and who I'm not talking to. I am not talking to the old people that are stuck in their ways who are continental Africans. You're going to have to learn the hard way. Life is a better teacher than I. It will make sure you get the lesson. So I'm not worried about you. I am concerned for the young continental Africans that are naive about, geopolitical events and the system of racism and white supremacy on a global level. I'm very concerned for them. So I'm going to make this statement, and I want those of you who listen to this broadcast to never forget the words that I'm about to speak to you. White people, the dominant society, no matter which country or continent they are on, they are not ignorant about racism and white supremacy. I'm going to make it very simple for you. That's like saying that the builders of Mercedes-Benz are ignorant about the product and vehicle that they've created. That makes no sense. That's an oxymoron. That makes no logical sense. You are not going to educate the founders and creators of racism and white supremacy on a damn thing. They created the system. See, I like to give analogies that make this very simple for people that run across this and may be confused, okay? You bear that in mind for the rest of your days. If you're a young continental African or Caribbean person, you will not be able to educate the founders of it. And then let me go here. Let me really make this stick. Let's just say you disagree with me on that. Fine, no problem. That's your right to do so. I posit to you this. Disregard everything I've said and go pick up some accurate history books. Go look at the histories of your nations and see who dealt you the worst blows. In fact, if you would like to know some of that history and you're not a reading person, I've covered that history extensively on this channel. Go and look up the content I have on here about the dark side of Kenyan history. I've got other content on this channel, if you go down the archives, that go into deep detail about what the British did to you, what the Spanish did to you, Portuguese, the Arabs. You can find that content on this channel. This is a classroom. So that way, you don't have to take it from me. You better understand how history correlates to present day. These people are not ignorant. They know what they're doing. They play ignorant because that's a detriment to you if you're foolish enough to believe that. Same thing with the pearly things. That's one of the most dangerous tricks that a white woman can use, and you're the biggest fool on the planet if you fall for it in particular. All white people use it, but the white woman gets a lot further by feigning ignorance. Don't be that person, my young continental African or Caribbean brothers and sisters, okay? They are not ignorant. You will not educate them about something that they created. Let's let it continue.
I just think she's ignorant. And when a man came on the platform and said a bunch of stuff, she just didn't have the wherewithal or the ability to counter anything because she wasn't well read on it.
And there was a lot of things that she was agreeing on that, was whatever. But whatever.
I just think.
No, it wasn't but whatever. See, now I got to drill down on what he just said. And that's the Haitian brother that said it's whatever. My Haitian brother, understand something. And see, this is where I take this deadly serious at. You are a man. You are a Haitian man. We are the gatekeepers, the front line, the shield between any threat between our communities, our women, and our children. We cannot afford not to identify threats accurately. We cannot afford to ignore threats. No, it's not whatever. If she's agreeing with him, she too is a white supremacist. Do you understand that? That man, see, this right here, and he's too old to be thinking like he's thinking. Brother, I hope you see this and you rethink that and revisit it. Because see, when I give a critique, unless it's somebody that has done something egregious, I try to do it in a way where the person, if you find the content, you will receive it in a way where you say, you know what? Let me hear what the brother is saying. Because see, I want all black people to be aware of what the system of racism and white supremacy does. You can't run around like, see, basically, when you take the mindset that he had, that's the equivalent of you walking outside your house naked. That's the exact same thing. You're not protected from the elements. You don't have any type of clothing on that's going to protect you. It's the same thing when you're dealing with racism and white supremacy and you just say, oh, it's whatever. No, it's not. That could be the difference between life or death in a situation where you're around these people and you don't recognize it because you blowing things like that off. Y'all better get that through y'all heads.
She just doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, which is true for many of the subjects that she talks on. None of this is surprising, so I thought this was actually kind of boring and dull. Well, what do you think?
It was just very expected. When I saw that shit, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck did you expect? Of course. So, whatever. It's a whatever sandwich to me.
And Nick tries to like massage it sometimes. He tries to pretend like he's not a white supremacist, but he is. He absolutely is. I remember at one time he's like, no, I'm more actually on my Christianity more than anything else. But then this guy in the conversation was advocating for like a white power structure. He wanted white people in charge. And then I remember I asked him a question one time. I said, Nick, if you had to choose, you said Christianity is your most important criteria, right? He said, yeah. And I said, okay. If you had to choose between marrying a black woman who's extremely Christian or marrying a white woman who's an atheist, what would you choose? The dude went quiet. I'm like, bro, I thought you said Christianity is your most important factor. Why would you choose the black one? And I'm like, bro, just say you love whiteness, man. Why are you doing all this Christianity bullshit? You know what I mean?
Why are you doing all this acrobatics?
Yeah. And it's just, he is what he is. It's fine when you accept it. You can have that conversation with him. You can push back on his ideas, but you need to actually acknowledge and do some research. And you didn't do that. And so with highly controversial guests, does it mean you can't have them on your platform? No, you can. You just got to get ready to actually push back on some of their ideas. That's it. So anyways, this one's kind of boring to me, but everybody wanted us to cover it. So here it is. But I don't know what you want me to say. I couldn't believe y'all made this girl popular in the first place, but everyone's allowed to do whatever they want. So, y'all
freedom of speech for you, freedom of speech for me. Yeah. You're allowed to do some dumb shit, but I'm allowed to tell you dumb.
Absolutely. And you're allowed to tell us we're dumb too. I at least think
it's fine.
But yeah.
Live your life.
You know how many times people say, yo, go on her podcast, go on her podcast. I'm like, why the fuck would I go on that weirdo's podcast? So I go sit there and tell women, you're unreasonable. Modern women are the problem. Oh, actually, this part was actually interesting. Some dude who worked with her. Remember the guy who said, I ain't got no problem with her? I got no problem with Abba and Preach?
Yeah. I got bare smoke for you lot, bro. Both of you lot. I got smoke for Abba and Preach, bro. Bro, please don't mention it.
When you say that, don't say we. Just say you got smoke, because I ain't got no smoke for no one.
No, that's what I said.
So this guy came out saying, not only he debated a video saying like, yo, she takes over 80 to 85% of people's ad revenue.
Now, myself and Pearl sat down to have a conversation, and she expressed to me that she wanted to do a new segment for her show. And she said she would want me within her studio 4 days per week. I said, okay, from what time? She said from 10 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening. I said, so working 4 to 5 days a week for 7 hours is essentially a day job. What is my guaranteed fee at the end of the month? What is the salary? And she looks at me and she says, we do not do guarantees and we do not do salaries. She does percentages. So I said, okay, cool. Well, what's the percentage? She said, Sarah, you're the high end, so you will get 70-30. So I said, fine, okay, let me listen. 70% goes to me and 30% goes to you. Now she looked at me and she said, no, 70% goes to me, Pearl, and 30% goes to me, Sarah Garvey. And that's when I started scratching my head. I said, what's the low end? She said it's 10 to 15%.
Which is like a crazy split. Even when you account for business expenses and everything, that's a crazy split. That Pearl, who's not even on the camera, will take 85% of what the person makes, okay, from ad revenue. No MCM, no like marketing agency does that. So that's one. Two, one other thing that he said he was talking about the past. She ended up filing a bunch of DMC strikes again to try to get his video taken.
Of course.
It's just fine.
When people with no arguments trying to push back on things, that's what they're gonna do.
DMCA strikes?
DMCA strikes.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
That are not DMCA strikes.
Yeah.
Abusing the system.
But anyways, let's know what you guys think about this. I got much.
For that.
Yeah. Okay. So you heard that, right? So what I would say to Abba and Preach is this. Just as you said that, you have the right to tell people when they're being stupid. I'm saying this to you out of love as your brother, okay, foundational Black American that understands racism and white supremacy because I live and grew up in the belly of the beast over here. I also have the right to tell you that it is not Pearl who's ignorant, but it is you. And I strongly suggest that you start studying the work of Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. You better start studying the work of Dr. John Henry Clark. You better start studying the work of Yosef Ben Yakinen, okay? You better start studying the work of Arthur Schomburg, okay? You better start studying the work of C.L.R. James, all right? You better start taking down some of these names that I'm naming. Look, let me give you some of your own people over there on the continent. Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, okay? Joshua Mapanga. You better start studying some of the work. Start looking at the life and a lot of the speeches that Winnie Mandela gave, okay? See, I can name people over there because I studied the entirety of history when it comes to black people, okay? My channel is living proof of it. If anybody's ignorant about anything, you can find it over here on this channel. Just keep going down. Oh, yeah. That's all I got over here is history about the global black diaspora, okay? So I would recommend that you start studying some things because, see, my greater concern is, and those are fairly young men, I can say that compared to me, but when you get to a certain age, it's more important that you really understand this system because one day you're going to be responsible for protecting somebody from these anti-black racists and white supremacists. One day. And see, if you don't recognize the threat, then it creeps up on you like this disgusting looking creature. I know I'm traumatizing y'all with this thing up here on the screen. Family, I got this up here for a reason. I had to do this to y'all. I'm sorry. I know I got you suffering over here. Bear with me. I put this on the screen because, you heard a lot of people, espousing the talking points of Kevin Samuels that he borrowed from here, there, and everywhere. But, Kevin had this number system, this rating system, and, he was talking about fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative. Okay, fine. If you truly believed in what Kevin was saying, how are you taking advice from this? Because I don't have no problem saying this. Now, this is where I am going to punch down. I'm going to tell you something. Even coming from me, somebody that's not attracted to white women in any shape, form, or facet, this is one of the ugliest women on the planet, period. This woman say she's 26. I call cap. That's 62. Let me tell you something right now, man. Somebody that look like this can tell me a damn thing. Look, I'm telling you, look, what's coming out of your mouth better be wisdom that is the equivalent of gold, because just looking at you, I wouldn't want to have nothing to do with this. And you buck dancing sambos and sambets are caping for this heifer? After it's been proven what she really is. See, a lot of people, they know what it is. They know they can't dispute a damn thing that Brother Jason Black did in that broadcast or anything that any of us that have been speaking on it said. They can't dispute nothing. We're not making up no lies on her. We let her expose herself. And y'all sit up here and follow behind this? Oh my God, man, this is hard on the eyes right here. I ain't gonna never let off of how she look. I don't see how this kid, if you was really a believer and a follower of Kevin Samuels, how did you fall for this? Look at this woman. If you thought the first picture was bad, look at this. Oh my, you know what she looked like? I'm gonna tell y'all what she looked like. Yeah, I got to do it. I'm gonna go here. I don't care who I piss off. How many of y'all seen the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre? This heifer look like a Leatherface to me. That's what she looked like. It's a female Leatherface with blonde hair. That's what she looked like. She looked like that or a female version of the Joker. Light Spice is hideous. Do you understand me? I ain't gonna lie, man. That's the kind of offensive looking woman right here. Because it ain't even about just white. She just ugly all the way around. The ugly skin was hideous and cruel to her. This is the type of ugly that kills appetites. This is the type of ugly right here that make you just be like, damn, I can't believe it. This can't be real. No. This type of ugly right here, man, this is sobering right here. Let me tell you something, man. I don't care if you had Bloody Marys. I don't care if you had Palm Sun. I don't care, Hennessy. Whatever your favorite drink is, man, that will sober you up. Can you imagine this motherfucker coming out of nowhere? Boo! Oh, shit! Oh, my God! I'll tell you right now, I don't care what you smoking on. That'll blow your high immediately. Ain't no way you gonna tell me that you gonna keep doing what you doing and this joker just jump out and start it and surprise you. Look at the chin on this heifer, first of all. This is a hard look at white woman. I don't care, white man. Y'all know this is the truth. She jumped over here in black business, so I get to talk about it. You want me to talk about it, you better get off from over here. I don't care what Sambo defended her. This creature right here. Come on, man. No. Look, let me tell y'all something, man. I don't usually co-sign this, but if you look like that, I understand if you have to get cosmetic surgery. I understand. I look, God, look, yes, sometimes life ain't fair. She need to fix that. That's offensive. It should be laws against that shit. You shouldn't be able to run around here with your face looking like that. Good God, man. Jesus. Pearl, your folks are rich. You need the surgery. You need it. You need to sit down with a cosmetic surgeon and totally redesign your face. She do. Man, oh man, Jesus Christ, man. Let me get this off the screen. I just had to get that out my system because see, I don't care, boy. I done made all of them mad. I know I done made the little Pearl Defense was mad, but y'all know that woman is hideous. You know she hideous, and she a hypocrite. Like now, the one thing that Alvin Priest did get right, she don't fit none of the advice that she calling herself trying to give. She's a hypocrite. A hideous hypocrite. HH, that's her name. Hideous hypocrite. Yeah, that's right. You don't like Miss Ann, so I'm gonna either call you Light Spice or hideous hypocrite. You gonna get this work over here. Jump over here in black business. It is what it is. You gonna get these jokes. My God, this woman, boy. Woo. That's the next villain in the MCU right there, boy. I'm trying to tell you. Tell me she can't be. But enough of that. A lot of y'all sent me this. So you know I was gonna have my say on this this bad wig wearing heifer right here, who is a tether class member of the Haitians. I got to do it. We're gonna break all of this stuff down because I know y'all been seeing this make its rounds on social media and Twitter. I got some things I need to say about this, so I'm gonna let her get started.
What most immigrants do is, like immigrants do, is flee away from danger. I love the idea of go back to your country because there's this mentality that there's a claim to something. Your entire country is based off of people that fleed. Like, that is what people do. They flee. If it ain't working out there and the oppression is way too bad, they flee for better opportunities. Some people want to sit there and fight all day, but other people actually want to raise their children and they don't want to spend their life fighting. Do you?
Yeah, y'all knew I was going to go and break this down. So I'm going to say what I've said many times on this channel, and I will not back down off of this because when you were raised with a father in the house, when you were raised around traditionally masculine men, this is the stance that you tend to take. I have said many times that I will cut the women and the children a pass for fleeing dangerous situations. In fact, if you are a man that loves your family, you secure the women away from the danger and the men deal with that. That's what you're supposed to do. But this woman to make the statement that she just said, though, whatever her name is, because I don't know it, but I'm going to say this not only to her, but all women, whether you continental African, Caribbean, whatever the case may be, wherever you are in the global black diaspora. You have to look at why she has that mindset. When your men, and I got to tell the truth, when your men have become comfortable running away from problems instead of fixing them, it breaks the confidence of the women and the children. So you get this. You get them espousing and talking about fleeing, or as she said, fleed, when it's fled. You get them talking about fleeing as if it is an honorable thing, okay? That is a failure upon your men when you do that, all right? Let me tell you where it's a very great detriment at. Because as we all know, women are the first teachers of children in every race in society. If a woman's spirit and mind has been broken like this, what the hell do you think she's going to instill in her children, particularly the next generation of the protector class, which are the young boys? Do you see where I'm going with this? I know a lot of people have given a taste in their commentary on, but you know I'm going to break it down from the arrow to the zero. So I'm going to tell you right now, if your women are sounding like this, it couldn't be me. Because, see, I would have to get together with the men of my group and like, man, we can't do this. We got to change this. This is a bad look on us. Whatever you are capable of doing, you need to get together and do it. You can't have groups of your women sounding like this, like it's a proud thing to be a damn coward. Because this is a bad look even for a woman. I got to say that, man. I got to salute our sisters and give it to them. Foundation of Black American women got more heart than this. And you know me, this is where the chauvinist and the sexist comes out. I don't want to see our sisters on the front line of a damn thing. I just prefer y'all be auxiliary support. But I got to call it what it is. Our sister got some fight to them. They don't talk like this, bro. Sometimes you have to go and pull Foundation of Black American sisters out the way. We have to make them calm down sometimes. They'll set it off. They're not cowards, man. So I had to say that for when a lot of you in the tether class, or as I call them, the tether winch class, because you like to chase out the zaddy, when you start talking about foundational Black American women, I tell you what you need to do first. You need to look within and see, do you have the fighting spirit that our sisters have? Because see, I got to say this. Even for our sisters out here that are single mothers, they do the best they can to pass that along to their children. You see what I'm saying? Got to give credit where credit's due all the way around. But we're going to let her continue here because we got a lot more to break down on this situation. I'm not done with her by sight.
Get that? Do you understand that? No, you don't? Okay, no problem. So now let's move forward. So as an immigrant, I'm here in this country. What do I want to do? Put my best foot forward. What do my parents want to do? Put their best foot forward and give us the best opportunity they possibly can. Thank you, Lord, for my parents because they did exactly that. But it's my turn as their child to hold the baton. And one thing I always say, my parents did not risk their lives to get to America for me to get involved in some political warfare. My parents did not risk their lives for me to get to America, for me to sit here fighting people all day. That makes absolutely no sense. And I think because
you know what else makes no sense? It makes no sense that your parents did not instill a sense of legacy and pride in your homeland. You know what? She spoke of it's her turn to carry the baton, but I posit to her this. What's going to be your legacy? See, primarily, it should be the man's greater concern on what the legacy of the family is going to be. But women have to give a damn about that to a certain extent, too. So for her to just go on this tangent, she just rambling off all these excuses. Because, see, let's be clear. She knows that's a shameful thing. She'll never admit it. You know that's a shameful thing. Don't tell me you proud of who you are when you jump over here and you ain't going to never go back home ever. How can you claim to love a place that you never going to go back to? If you here and you trying to put your best foot forward, this sister should be the head of an organization trying to inspire Haitian men. Hey, we got to do something. We got to try to go back and take our birthright back and make it what we want it to be. Because, see, you know who did do that? Foundational Black Americans. We damn sure have a track record and a proven history of staying right here on our land and making opportunities better for ourselves and you to come here. See, I have to, again, make this statement. It's one thing for a woman to say it, but see, for a man, if that's what your situation is, you should start to feel like a parasite. See, imagine this, and I'm going to say this to the brothers in the chat. I know the brothers that are gathered over here, a lot of you have different professions, different jobs, okay? Imagine all of us working hard on a construction project. Let's say we paving a road. I'm going to put all of you men in here on a construction crew, okay? Some of you probably have done that work. All of us working hard. Every man got his own job to do. Finally, at the end of the day, we get the job done. Been slaving out there 12-hour day. I'm going to give it to you like that. We done did a 12-hour day. Everybody on the crew working hard, but then we got 2 or 3 clowns that was, you know, always over there where the water truck was. They ducking off, not doing too much. Are we going to respect them guys for those of us that actually did the work? Are we going to respect to get those 3 that was always ducking off, kind of slacking and trying to, you know, go missing when work would be done? Will we respect men that do that? I want to get some chat room participation. Give me a thumbs down if you wouldn't respect that, okay? All of us put in the work, but we got 2 or 3, they ducking the work. Hiding, always trying to get where the water truck at. To the point where when we go to get some water, there ain't nothing left. Would you respect that, brothers? I would like to know. I'm looking in my chat room. I'm trying to see. Give me a thumbs down if you would not respect that. Because I want to see this. Because, see, for me, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way in the hell I respect a man that'll sit there and watch everybody else work. And I'm doing work, carrying my load. And then you slacking, but you want to come over when it's time to get the credit. See, in a situation like that, I'm like, yeah, we need to count out the hours that you actually did work. We'll pay you for that, but you're not going to get the same paycheck the rest of us get. That's how that shit should work. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's exactly how that should work. Because, see, what this woman don't realize is when it comes to legacy, that's exactly what she seems to be proud of. You are instilling into your next generation, your children, that it's okay not to put in the work that it takes to build things, okay? How strong is your next generation of protectors if it's not a shameful thing to tuck and run in every situation? Now, are there some situations where you live to fight another day? Yes, there are. But every single time you running from something, at some point as a man, I'm just saying for the men, at some point as a man, that's supposed to wake something up in you like, I ain't running no more, goddammit. It's either do or die right here where I stand. And I'm speaking as a foundational Black American, but see, I just guess that's one of the differences between us and a lot of them. I'm not going to say all, because you got brothers and sisters over there that will stay where they are and try to do the best they can. So I acknowledge them. I know many, okay? So I am in no way saying this applies to all kind of African or Caribbean people. You got people that's in Haiti, Jamaica, and in all 54 nations of the continent. They may come over here to visit, but they're like, hey, man, home is here. This is my birthright. This is my legacy. But see, when your women start talking like this, I'm telling you, fellas, this is a bad look. She should have kept this to herself because she thinks she getting us told. Nah, you making your own people look bad, primarily your men. That's a bad look on them. I'm going to tell you that right now. But she's got more to tell us, though. She's going to educate us. Let her continue.
You guys have never taken that level of a risk. You don't understand that level of responsibility and accountability. That's really the problem here. Because if you really risk your lives to have something, if you really risk your life to get something, you're not willing and ready to throw it away. So now me being where I am here in America, it makes me say to myself, especially as I'm evolving, growing through healing, I'm one of those people that I believe in therapy. I believe in. But one of the things that I found myself being very concerned about is my experience as a Black woman, especially with the last election, when you saw like this idea of like, oh my gosh, if you're Black, you better do this, you better do that. I'm like, hold on, wait. That's what really made me say, I don't like this. Like, why are you telling me I have to do this because I'm Black when it's been already pointed out that I'm Haitian? Why do I now have to now submit to this idea of being Black? That makes absolutely no sense to me.
You absolutely don't have to do that. In fact, I'm going to tell you, for the longest time, this is a mistake that foundational Black Americans are starting to correct. You don't have to identify as Black. You can identify as Haitian. After all, you are Haitian. You would be considered Haitian American. But understand this, and I'm making this unequivocally clear to the tethered class primarily, making a distinction, the tethered class, not all, continental Africans or Caribbean people. When you choose to hold so firmly onto that stance that you not Black, you particularly Haitian, all of your support better come from the Haitian community because you said you're not one of us. And I agree, you're not. You're not. It's your right to duck your head and you know, just go along to get along. You can do that. But here's the other thing that I add to this, besides all of your help coming from your community, make sure you don't jump in the way and try to undermine my people, because it's only fair that if you're not going to help us, you should not try to hinder us. And I'm going to tell you right now, should you attempt to try to become a hindrance to our people, we're going to treat you the same way that we treat the oppressor class that many of you like to side with. And we're going to remember that, as you said, you're not Black, okay? So I'm just pointing that out to the tether class. When you say you're not Black, that means that, okay, cool, no problem. All your help come from your community, and you stay out of our affairs, because if you jump up trying to speak for us, we're going to remind you that you said you're not Black. So I applaud that. I want you to be what you feel comfortable being. Overstanding right now, the lines of demarcation are being permanently set. It's not going to go back anytime soon. And when you start jumping up talking about you're divisive, let me ask you something. For those of you tell the class that say this, is this divisive? Because I appreciate this type of division. I want to know where everybody stands. You damn right. We need to divide, and we are going to divide. A lot of this division is taking care of itself, because see, now on, when you come out your mouth and make that statement, I'm not Black, I'm this, you're absolutely right. And we're going to remember that. That is a permanent scarlet letter on your forehead. You're not Black, remember? What you looking at me for? We not the same people. You go over there and do your thing, find your help from your community. That's how I feel about it. But let her get back to it. She got a lot more to say.
And that's what you don't get. A lot of people are challenging that idea and that thought is because of their lived experience. Maybe if you guys listened to what was being said instead of gaslighting people, and you made a conscious effort to make sure that different immigrants and different people were having a different experience, maybe they wouldn't feel the way that they do. But when you have a certain experience, I'm sorry, that's what happens, okay? So now let's back. But one a big deal, especially blackness as an identity. Even right now, there's a lot of Haitian friends I had, especially when we went through that war in the 90s. A lot of us came together. Well, what happened is some people assimilated to that culture that was around predominantly, especially if you were in a more urban area. And if you come from a more urban area or inner city, which I wasn't deep in the inner city, however, still close enough, because back in those times, the school zones still will put you in the same school with certain people. So you might go home and live in a completely different neighborhood, but the buses took many of you guys to the same school, which is why I understand you'll see that certain school zones, to protect themselves, some people, what they will do is that advocate for their children, they will become very specific about drawing out those territories of what those school zones look like, and they would rather school zone children or bus children 30 minutes away versus the kids that are 5 minutes away. This is a real thing happening right now. I can't come with my cultural identity. I can't come avec créole moi que moi même parler. Peut-être si commencer parler ti créole, moi n'a pas problème avec moi, me comprendre ça. I can't come with all of this in that environment and think to be accepted. That's okay, because I think separation is a part of life. Separation doesn't have to be a negative thing. But what happens is what?
I agree. Separation does not have to be a negative thing. We want to make sure that you all understand that. While she was speaking in her French, or as they like to call it, French Creole, whatever the case may be. And I understood every word she said, but hey, I try not to divulge that I speak more than one language. I digress. That's not what the broadcast is about here tonight. But like she said, separation doesn't have to be a bad thing. And we're going to make you accept that now, because for the longest, you self-segregated, you tether class when you come over here. So now we've accepted that. We've made the mistake of thinking that when we fought for you all to come here, that the greater majority of you would come over here and have a camaraderie with us. We were thinking that would be reinforcements against white supremacy for us, but we were mistaken. In hindsight, I'm going to say something very controversial. I'm going to be honest with you. It's been too many to come here that have been off code for me to look back and see that as a good thing. Maybe we would have probably been better off and made more progress if we did not fight for you to come here. Maybe we should allow these white folks to just leave us over here, and whatever we deal with, we would just have to deal with our internal coons then. I do think that we would have made a lot more progress, because I'm gonna make that a lot more clear on the next broadcast I do, breaking down Double J, Justin Pearson, and Justin Jones. Oh yeah, we gonna thoroughly break that broadcast down. Y'all not gonna want to miss that one. But I agree with the sentiment of separation does not always have to be a negative thing. It is a very positive thing. In fact, it is a healthy and intelligent thing to do when we are over here today trying to take care of business in the foundational Black American community. Then we have people wearing our skin that are too ashamed to call themselves Black, that want to try to undermine our efforts. Shout out to our own code brothers and sisters that are non-FBA that doesn't apply to, but it's too many of y'all over here doing this. Y'all have gotten bold to the point where you have those like Austin Chingay talking about if he became governor, he would remove Black History Month. The nerve of you thinking you're going to come to my homeland and remove any type of holiday pertaining to my culture, when you would be raving mad and would never tolerate that if any foundational Black Americans went over there and proclaimed to do the same thing. But I'm gonna let little Miss Wig here continue to espouse certain things, and we're gonna continue to dissect everything she had to say.
What happens when we're naturally in our own culture and one specific culture says, no, you have to identify as Black, especially when it comes to elections and all of these different things. I'm in America. The dominant culture in terms of Blackness is the Black American culture, which means this is what you're going to get on TV. This is what you're going to get on radio. This is what you're going to get on everything. So unless you have been programmed to really enjoy a different culture, financial state that is in a cycle, okay? There's all types of things going on with that cycle. I understand that as a person, that is not something that I can solve, okay? I do think that there is a large element of this that just simply needs Jesus, because just people are just not going to let go of their belief system. They're not going to let it go. So God himself has to come down from heaven, pull it out of you for you to be willing to let it go. Okay, I get that. This is what I'm concerned about as a mother. I'm concerned about the fact that this subculture of Blackness is representing Blackness. What I'm more concerned about is how the subculture of Blackness has become the identity of Blackness. I don't like the way Blackness is being branded in America. That's what I have a problem with. And you might say, well, who are you to have a problem? Or how can you get involved in it? And you might want to call me an immigrant and all of that. Listen, the day you guys create a box and you make it crystal clear that I'm an immigrant, I will no longer speak on quote unquote unquote Black American issues ever.
Now, did you hear the schizophrenic hypocrisy? This woman just sat here and made it clear that she's not black, she's Haitian. But then she turns around and in the same breath says, okay, you guys may call me an immigrant, and the day that you make a box and proclaim me an immigrant, I won't speak on your issues. You did that, ma'am. You said that you're Haitian. You're not black, remember? That's what you said. See, I'm a very astute listener. And one thing we're going to have to let these tether class members know is you're not going to have your cake and eat it too. You've been preaching delineation for the longest, so that's what we're rolling with. You're right. We should have done this look, if we would have did this about 50, 60 years ago, we would have made a lot more progress in this country. Because, see, one of the main issues is they'll go around for political office, okay, and then they'll be claimed to be our representatives and undermine the hell out of our people. That game is not going to work anymore. In fact, we're going to completely dismantle that nationwide. You mark my words. They've already seen it. This is why they're so nervous about the reparations movement that we have. So, little Miss Schizophrenia, no. You are what you said you are. That's got nothing to do with me. Y'all heard her own words, okay? She's Haitian, not black. I don't have a problem in the world with that. Be who you are. Just remember, your help come from your community, and don't get in the way trying to undermine our people. Let it continue.
That I am built into the social construct of being a black woman. I have 2 children. I have a 6-year-old and I have a 3-year-old boy. Okay. They are black. My ex-husband is a black man. Matter of fact, my ex-husband is an African-American man. Not that that matters, but let's talk about it. Okay. Because I saw, especially when it comes to my relationship with my ex-husband, I saw how destructive the culture was in impacting him, impacting his family. These are things that we talked about. These are things that we walked through. And any woman that has ever been in a relationship with a black man that has ever felt safe of expressing himself and how he feels, then you know that that is a topic that comes up. And so much time.
So this is my question to her, because see, I don't know her husband from a can of paint, her ex-husband rather. Ma'am, who did you choose? Who did you choose? Did you choose one from the Pookie and Ray Ray class? I'm wondering, because see, she didn't really go into detail about that. Okay. I want y'all to hear what she said was the real issue that they got a divorce, though, because see, brothers, let me tell you something. And this is coming from somebody who has been to the continent, dated continental African women over there, dated them over here. One thing that I make sure I do, I don't care what lineage a person is. You better understand what somebody's worldview and mindset on these things are. You have to have these conversations before you have kids with them. You understand me? See, you don't want to wait and then have kids and produce life with somebody and they got this kind of mindset, because this is very damaging to your seed and the next generation of your bloodline. You're not going to be able to raise a strong bloodline when the woman in the situation has this type of worldview. But I want y'all to listen to what she's about to say here.
I spent trying to heal him, friends, different people just I've walked through in life. And I understood, especially for the people that are born here in America and have a lineage that is tied to this land, I understand how much psychological warfare has been done to basically imprison the mind to see and think a certain kind of way. Absolutely brilliant man. But I can say today, the major reason for our divorce is cultural differences. That's just the reality of it. Have nothing but love for him, and I know he has nothing but love for me, but culturally it just wasn't going to work, and we had to accept that, and we understand.
Okay, so now I'm finna go here, and I'm gonna be harsh with my commentary on this. Lady, cultural differences wasn't a problem when you open your legs for this man and produce babies with him. I'm gonna say it again. Cultural differences wasn't a problem when you opened your legs and produced 2 children with that man. Let me say this to continental African women, Caribbean women, foundational Black American women. If your ass has a good man that has taken you off the market in today's economy and made you his wife, and he is a stable provider, he's not a danger to the family or you, okay? And your ignorant ass divorced that man for cultural differences, do you know what kind of industrial strength fool you would have to be? He ain't put his hands on you, kids, nothing like that. Cultural you better work that shit out. Let me tell you, sisters, something, and y'all continental African sisters, you better hear me. You're not going to just drop a good man today in America and immediately get another one. If you got you a producer, you better hold on to him. I'm telling you, be stupid enough not to do that and go against my words. You better look at some of the more famous examples that's struggling. What's the one? Tamara, whichever one divorced her husband. I'm ready to find love again. Health is over for you. You done. It's a wrap. Lala Anthony, regardless of what you think of Carmelo, she knew what she signed up for. It's a wrap. Ain't another Carmelo coming. Hell, look at Kim Kardashian. Ain't another Kanye coming. It's over. You hop your ass out of these marriages for these dumbass reasons if you want to. I promise you it's going to be a one and done. Because, see, let me tell you something. And I'm saying this for the wise younger women of any lineage, so you understand the game. You better take it from a man. Let me tell you how men in America are looking at that situation. For each one of you that do that, that's making it harder and harder for brothers to say, you know what? Yeah, let me take a chance on one of these sisters and go ahead and marry her. That divorce rate is too high, goddammit. 70% of the women filing for divorce go up to 90% when you have them damn college degrees. I'll tell you something, men are not as stupid as you think. We pay attention to numbers. We have to. We're the builders. Understand that? And when you're the builders and you pay attention to numbers, you know what else that makes us naturally? Problem solvers. And that means if you are going to be that type of problem, we're not going to take the risk. Say what you want about the passport bros. That's part of their argument. I'm not telling you to like them. I ain't saying all of them are on code. I'm telling you in general, that's a part of their argument. Brothers, take your time and get to know these women before you produce children with them, because this ain't it right here. This right here is a curse to a damn bloodline. But hey, she got more to say. She's so smart. Let's let it continue.
Why are you going in here and calling all the white people in here racist?
I want y'all to pay attention to this next clip too, because see, this is a perfect example of the tether class that we have no respect for.
No, I'm calling them dumb Republicans. No, you're calling them racist. Yeah, you call the white people are racist. All white people are fucking racist. Why are you trying to instigate violence right now? Because I'm black and I like violence. Yeah? I'm an animal. I'm an animal. I'm a black animal. I'm a black animal. Let's kill all white people. Yeah, baby. So Biden 2024? Biden 2024? All right, Biden. Biden 2024. Biden 2024, baby. Biden 2024, bitch. Hey, you ever seen performance art? Obviously not, because here's my manager. My fucking manager. This is called my fucking manager. Fuck the white people. I'm a motherfucking animal, bitch.
Now you saw that ignorant tether wench right there, right? A lot of them tend to have a tendency to make a fool out of themselves in front of white people. And see, tether class, you better understand something. When the white people start co-signing you, that's where you went wrong, okay? Those are the ones, and I showed you that image because we got to make it clear who the tether class is. Like we just reviewed that last ignorant helper that was around there talking about she left her marriage for cultural differences. Oh, it's a wrap for her. I feel bad for them children. But that's who she really gonna hurt. But I wanted to show you that because as you heard, she was caping for them damn Democrats, that monstrosity that you just viewed. Because see, if a bunch of foundational black Americans went over to their countries and portrayed ourselves that way, mocking them, they would run us up out of there. But see, people like her, whether they're liberal or conservative, they'll agree with this clown you're about to hear here. And see, I made it clear. If you side with people like this guy, you pretty much over there in the oppressor class. I want y'all to listen to what he's about to say at this reparations hearing.
Morning. You have 1 minute. Thank you.
Oh, good morning. I'm going to try and put sort of a mixed message across here real quick. First of all, things like land taking or LA County shuffling around underperforming teachers to black schools, that needs to change. That needs to stop. At the same time, this commission has talked about repealing equal protection laws in California and given cash grants to people to buy homes or to support businesses. And that's a 14th Amendment issue. You'd have to repeal the 14th Amendment first, and that's done so much for black folks, for folks of all races, religious minorities. Gay people can get married because of the 14th Amendment. That's standing in your way. I'm sorry. If you want to hand out money like that. So what I'm saying is either you do it in a race-neutral way, fixing schools, fixing eminent domain, Or you listen to the people here, you just hand out money, you get your ass handed to you in court, and it sets everything back, and it shows just how ridiculous and shameful that whole endeavor is. That's all I got. Thank you.
Now, did you see that mammy that was clapping at the end of what he just said? You saw that, right? See, we're going to take a look at that 14th Amendment and what he was a part of it, what he was trying to reference there. But see, they don't have a problem with sending all this money over to Ukraine and everywhere else. And again, you know what? Now that I got y'all over here, I should have done this earlier. Again, those of you who are in this chat, you're familiar with this website. If you want to know just how much of our American taxpayer dollars are going overseas, I want you to look at foreignassistance.gov, the website that I am putting in the chat. I'm going to put it in there 3 times, okay? I want y'all to look at that website and make sure that you study it so that you understand and make a case when you go to these reparations hearings. Use the data on that site in real time, write down those numbers and say, oh, but you don't have a problem with these amount of billions of dollars going to Ukraine, XYZ. And it goes back several years too, so that you can strongly make a case when you go to speak at these reparations hearings, wherever you are. Okay, primarily our brothers and sisters over there in California. I'm 100% behind y'all. But let's look at this 14th Amendment, why he's saying here what he said. All persons, this part of it, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So that's the argument that he was making there with the 14th Amendment. White supremacists, what I would say to you is eminent domain destroyed most black neighborhoods. Wherever there's a freeway in America, there used to be a black neighborhood. When the 14th Amendment was instituted, we have had life taken from us. We definitely live in a state of greater confinement, so we've had our liberty taken from us, and we damn sure have had our property taken from us without due process of law in many cases, okay? So you don't speak on that. See, family, when you go to these reparations hearings and they start talking like that, you have to be able to counter their arguments with intelligence, okay? Make sure you counter their arguments with intelligence. This is why I pulled up that portion of the 14th Amendment that he was referring to, because, see, if you don't know any better and you're not aware of these things in the Constitution and anything else they try to reference, they'll try to gaslight you to death. Primarily, use the information from foreignassistance.gov to make your case when you go before these reparations hearing and ask the question. Because we need to be blunt and in the exact terms say, okay, well, if you are so against the reparations, then why don't you have the same ire for when our taxpayer dollars go to these other nations? They never do. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're going to have to hold their feet to the fire with that, all right? So I want to analyze something else here. I'm going to show y'all something else, all right? We're drawing to the end of this, but I want to make this point stick here tonight.
The pushback.
I want y'all to take a listen to this white woman. And, you know, I often told you many a times the difference between a white ally and somebody just seeking a photo op. This would be considered a white ally here, even though you don't trust them all the way. I want y'all to listen to what she's about to say about reparations.
I hear most often is, that's your problem given your ancestors, but it has nothing to do with me. It's understandable that people distance themselves. I'll focus on 2 reasons. One, most of us learned a distorted history of slavery in school. So as white Americans, most of us don't realize our connection to it. Second, there's a natural instinct to avoid that which can bring feelings of shame about our people, about the country that we love. To address the first issue, here's a quick rundown of historical facts I had not been taught. That the North was deeply implicated, that slavery was legal in northern states for over 200 years, that Northerners up and down the economic spectrum made their livings in businesses tied to slave trade and slavery, that Northern mills processed cotton harvested by enslaved people. The Midwest and the West were implicated. They grew food to feed the South, where land was devoted to cash crops like cotton, harvested by the enslaved. Consumers throughout the country were implicated in their everyday purchases of clothing, coffee, sugar, rice, tobacco. People who immigrated from Europe after slavery were implicated. I have Irish, French, and German immigrant ancestors who came to the United States in the 19th century, worked in factories, struggled, but they were given access to the American dream. Why were waves of immigrants flocking here? Because it was the land of opportunity. Why was the economy booming? Why were there jobs? Because it had been built largely on unpaid labor. Once here, European immigrants got to systematically leapfrog over Black families with devastating consequences up to the present day. So slavery built the nation. It turning us into an economic powerhouse.
To trigger some people.
Now, you heard what that white woman said. She was speaking in favor of us getting reparations at a reparations hearing. And see, I showed that to you for one, so you understand what a white ally looks like. They're not right up on the black people trying to get a photo op. They're away from us, and they're using their position in society to produce justice for our people. She was spot on with what she was saying. And the second reason I showed you that debunks anything, because you see, this was an elderly white woman. Okay, she's an older white woman, rather. That debunks any thought or formality that anybody tries to pose for talking about that these people are ignorant. They know their history damn near better than we do. Okay, so you heard that, right? I just want that to be clear. Now, we got to review this last portion of these tethers right here. Now, many of you may have already seen this clip, but some of you might not have. Put it in here for a reason, though. Let's let it play.
Especially because I'm Nigerian. But it says, getting mad at immigrants from coming into America and exceeding or surpassing you as a natural born citizen is nothing more than jealousy and most times correlates to laziness. Now let me explain my point. I say this because I feel like there's a lot of times, and I'm not talking about just black people, I mean Americans, period. Americans hate immigrants, and that's just how it is. I don't care what they say. If whether you're white, black, I don't care. Americans hate immigrants for the most part. Not hate, but have a problem with immigrants. And I feel like a lot of immigrants come to this country, take what they can get here, do well, like academically, maybe financially, maybe business-wise, and they either stay in America or they go back to their country, their home country.
No, they don't. The greater majority never go back. Don't tell that lie. And when she's talking about do well, I guess you would say it's doing well when you come over here and you riding around in Uber, because the greater majority of them don't come over here and become doctors or lawyers. That's another lie that need to be debunked by the numbers. All of them coming over here don't become doctors and lawyers and corporate executives like they know. A very small percentage of people do that. Okay. And then the hell they have to go through to get that. And then let's talk about, okay, once you become successful like that, especially when you look at corporate America, that don't last very long. See, I know how to debunk all that bullshit that come out of their mouth when they start thinking that they're so much better than black Americans, okay? But I want y'all to listen to the rest of what she's about to say. Let's let it continue.
And for whatever reason, there's so many Americans that hate that, but I kind of feel like, for what? Like, you had the upper hand, whether it's not having the language barrier, having the natural born citizenship, to be ahead of these people who are immigrants, and there's immigrants that are really surpassing so many natural born citizens. And just to make a fact, Nigerians are the most educated group of immigrants in the United States. Thank you very much. And I feel like a lot of people...
Okay, let's deal with that. One, we don't hate you. We take issue with you when you become disrespectful, and you disrespect our ancestors because, as I said earlier in the broadcast, and history backs me up, we were the ones that made it possible for you to come here, you and your parents, okay, especially you anchor babies. The other issue, stop bragging about how educated and intelligent you are and being the most educated immigrant group. When you look over here, show me where there's a thriving Nigerian community or any African community where they just running shit. I'm talking about, man, you look at that, you be like, damn, this look like what Black Wall Street used to look like. You don't have no places over here in America like that because you run to live in white neighborhoods. See, I'm going to say something else too about this big overgrown, goofy looking joker that's sitting next to her. As a man, if I'm sitting next to a woman and she starts talking like that and I know better, I'm going to interject. because that made you look very foolish at that point. What good is it to brag about the acquisition of something that you can't use it for your own benefit? I'm going to say it again. What good is it to brag about the acquisition of anything, especially education, because that means that your mind is supposed to be enhanced and you're supposed to have a skill set. How can you brag on it if you're not able to use it? Where we can see clearly where your people are elevated in society. Let me really twist the knife in on this one. Show me where any immigrant group is doing just as good as white people here. Oh yes, as we gonna talk metrics and measuring things, not just comparing yourselves to the lowest common denominator foundational Black American. And see, let me twist this knife in a little bit further, since I got it good and deep inside the base of the spinal cord, where I can snap the doggone spinal cord nerves and you won't be able to talk no more. Yeah, see, y'all don't know nothing about that kind of anatomy, but I digress. Show me where you're doing better than our best. Don't compare yourself to somebody that's not educated and that's working a low-skilled job. Let's compare skilled labor to skilled labor and then see if you still have that much hot air in your chest. See, you got to know how to hit these people, these tether class, to make them shut up. I'm just giving y'all some ammunition. You like, let's compare your best to our best. Then let's talk. You notice they never want to do that, though. They don't want to have that conversation. But hey, let's let it continue.
People really just hate immigrants, and I feel like it comes out of jealousy and a lot of times laziness. If you ask me, people say Black people are lazy, but I think Americans are lazy compared to other cultures.
Yeah, because when it comes to like Black people, we don't know how to come together at all. Like when it comes to all these other immigrants, they come together like no other. Like they will.
I'm not gonna let El Chill Rock get that off. No. You can't come together in your homeland, first of all. And then when you look at over here, you damn sure don't come together with us. It's too many instances of that to point that out. How you gonna say that? We don't know how. No, stop projecting. Don't we all this French. That's you that don't know how to come together. We know how to come together when it counts, okay? We do, for the most part. Now, does that take some extreme circumstances sometimes? Yes. But by and large, if you just had to really compare who sticks together more in our homelands, we damn sure got you beat anywhere in the global Black diaspora. And you know this too. Y'all sit over there in nations that's completely run by your people with all types of corruption. They do you any kind of way. And you just sit there taking that shit for decades on end. We, the minority over in this country, and we ain't trying to have now dead. So y'all got to know how to debunk this foolishness when they start talking about that. All this we talk, all this Frenchy speaking, nah, brother. You compare that to your people. Hey, let's let them continue.
Make sure everybody is right before they move the fuck on. Black people, we can't even get on the same page. That's why it will take us forever to get past something or make change, because we can't agree on shit.
Now it take us forever to get past stuff and make change, because when we're trying to produce justice and get things done, we have the tether class in our way, like Justin Jones and Justin Pearson. Oh, just wait till that broadcast. But see, family, I put that in there for a reason, so I can go ahead and just use that as an example to show you how to debunk a lot of that foolishness. But I had to include this here at the end of the broadcast because, again, I know y'all have seen it, but I think it would be fitting to end the broadcast on here tonight. The Prince of Pan-Africanism himself has been checking the tethers, in case you didn't see it. I know I showed it to you previously, but I gotta play it again. I'm gonna let Big Papa tell you, okay? I'm gonna let Big Papa Pan-Africanism. He got some words for you tether class that try to undermine folks. Let him tell you.
Unfortunately, so many of our African immigrant parents come to America thinking they better than us. That when someone like Dr. Umar Johnson wants to come to the African community in America and say, let me train your parents on how to advocate for their kids, they run away from me and run to the damn white man. Because he gave you refugee status. From a damn war that he started. When I try to help you, you run away from me and run to the white man because he gave you refugee status. And so now you think you've been blessed by God because the white man gave you refugee status in the United States.
a refugee status that wouldn't even be necessary if the white man didn't start the war that you had to run away from in the first place. And then they tell you to stay away from black folks in America, so y'all get to America, start acting like y'all don't know who we are. But your damn kids is being special educated, miseducated, and black immigrant youth are one of the fastest growing prison populations in America. Black immigrant youth, black African immigrant youth are one of the fastest growing prison populations in America because you damn Africans come to America, some of you, and ain't got no damn Pan-African consciousness. Come to America and you ain't got no damn Pan-African consciousness. Thinking you better than me when everything you get is the result of the struggle that we have been through. Everything you get is the result of the struggle that we have been through, and you want to turn your nose up at us because the white man that gave you a refugee status card. Get your ass out my face. I don't deal with sellout African Americans, and I damn sure ain't gonna deal with no sellout Africans from the continent. I don't deal out with no sellout African Americans, and I damn sure ain't gonna deal with no sellout Africans from the continent.
So now you heard it. When the Prince of Pan-Africanism had to come out and get him right now, hey, you already know that. That means you the cooning and the tether winds cooning just went too far, man. But see, this is what we've been saying all along, like many of you have pointed out here in the chat, okay? And see, the bottom line is this, family. I did tonight's broadcast so that I could make clear distinction between the off-code and on-code mindset amongst FBA and non-FBA people, okay? And see, at the end of the day, if you really want to bridge gaps and build bridges and work together, then it all starts with us being on code and having the same agenda against anti-black racism and white supremacy. It must start there. There can be no fence riding or in between with that. It's non-negotiable. We must start there. If not, fine. When things happen, remember, you chose what side you want to be on. And that goes for foundational Black American coons as well. We're making everybody choose where they stand. The hour of demarcation is now, family. So with that said, I'd like to thank everybody that joined us over here tonight. As you see on the screen here, this is a time to arise, or to say, as our good brother Tariq Nasheed has coined that term, okay, that holiday out of traditional foundational Black American tut language. So I just want to make sure that everybody got an understanding of what we reviewed here tonight and use this broadcast to help educate people.
Hey, what's going on?
So that they will also be able to get themselves out of situations where they're naive to racism and white supremacy. That being said, salute to everybody. I'm going to close the broadcast. Black first. Salute. I will see you all in future content.
Guys, this is Tariq Nasheed, and I'm inviting you to the Foundational Black American Expo going down May 27th, 2023, right here in the beautiful city of Dallas, Texas. This is an event you don't want to miss. It's going down at the Black Academy of Arts and Letters, and this is an empowerment event that you can invite the whole family to. We're going to have seminars and workshops that discuss things like business development, education, health and wellness, self-defense, and some of you businesses out there, we have vending opportunities where you can promote your businesses. Plus, we're going to have so many phenomenal speakers and guests. We got people like Dr. Boyce Watkins, who's coming down, Professor James Small, Sister Vicky Dillard, Riza Islam, Dr. Kaba Kamene, Ben X, Tahuti Mayad Ra, Erica Lachey, Red Pill, Blue Pill, so many people. So, yo, get your tickets now at FBAExpo.com. That's FBAExpo.com. We will see you here.